Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the planning board meeting, September 10th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Notice of this meeting was given to the township clerk and posted on the township website calendar and township bulletin board and sent to the West Orange Chronicle and Star Ledger. This meeting has been properly noticed to the public in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. No new matters will start after 10:30 p.m. I ask everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. The next planning board regular meeting will be held October 1st, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. Okay, I've just been informed we're going to have to notice for the next regular planning board meeting. It's on a holiday. It will be on our website and the website calendar. Roll call, please, Amelet. Diana, I'm sorry. Hello. There you are. Here. Present.
Mr. Guarino.
Present.
Ms. Kepper.
Here.
Mr. Klein. Absent. Mayor Susan McCartney.
Present.
Mr. Morgan. Mr. Novarini.
Present.
Councilwoman Susan Scarpa.
Present.
Mr. Wiltz. Absent. And Chairperson Bagoff.
Present. Thank you very much. Ms. McGovern, would you swear in the township professionals?
And Ms. Kroll is our planner for this evening. And Megan, are you going to be making any comments?
Probably not, but you may want to.
Okay, Megan,
Yes,
if
yes, speak into the mic.
Okay, so we have Susan Gruel, we have Megan Adam. Well, we have Zaya Beth Caraballo too, our township engineer, in case we do ask for some information from Ms. Caraballo. Okay, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. This evening, we're going to hear the fourth round housing element and fair share plan. So ladies and gentlemen here and on Zoom, the goal of this meeting is that Susan Gruel and Hire Gruel Corporation the planners has presented a potential fourth round plan to the planning board. We'll be listening to that this evening. After we hear the presentation in PowerPoint, we will listen to comments from the public. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes a person because there's a volume of people in the room and we want to have everybody speak. After that, then the planning board will ask questions if they have questions. The goal of this is that we get this done after listening to the public with the idea that right now we have no fourth round plan and we are subject to what is called the builder's remedy. We right now have 4 lawsuits against the Township of West Orange for builder's remedy. The goal is that we come up with a solution that is modifiable. The solution can be amended after it is adopted, if we choose to adopt it this evening. If we choose not to adopt it, we'll have to reevaluate this plan and again hold a public hearing and ask for more comments. But again, we are at risk. We have a risk now, and we will be at risk until this is adopted. Then what happens is our attorney, Ms. McGovern, will go to the court and represent with Ms. Gruel that there is a plan in place and we should stop any further builder's remedies coming to the Township of West Orange. So without any further ado, Susan Gruel.
I guess I take this up to the mic there. I think it's better if I stand up here.
Susan, we're going to ask you to present your credentials to the board before you get started with your presentation. Okay, thank you. So ladies and gentlemen here and in the public on Zoom, the expert will present their credentials, so the board will evaluate the credentials to see if they rise to the level that we expect and if the license is active in the state of New Jersey. Ms. Gruel.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. And This is an area of interest, obviously, and an area of complete craziness. So I'll say that to begin with, and I will give my credentials. I am a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey. I have a master's degree in planning from Rutgers University. I have postgraduate work in finance from Baruch College. And I am a partner in the planning firm of Higher Gruel and Associates. We represent mostly municipalities throughout the state of New Jersey, doing all kinds of planning, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's master plans, whether it's redevelopment plans, whatever planning it is, that's what we do. We are pure planners, not engineers. You have your engineer. And I have qualified as an expert in front of, I don't know how many boards and bodies, municipal, in court, and let's see, what else? What else should I say?
Is your license?
I've been around for quite a while, as you can tell.
Ms. Gruel, is your license in good standing and active in the state of New Jersey at this time?
Yeah,
Ms. Gruel, have you presented before this planning board from the Township of West Orange previously?
I have.
And tell us what it was for.
It dealt with a number of redevelopment areas, redevelopment studies, and redevelopment plans.
Thank you. Do any members of the planning board have any questions for Ms. Gruel on her bona fides? Seeing none, we accept you as a planner and our planner for the fourth round of affordable housing. Please go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. And as I said, just to start with, I'm going to try to make a presentation that talks generically about affordable housing and then specific to West Orange. But let me just start, and we would say, I forgot to say, as I did, that we teach at Rutgers, we taught comprehensive planning, and one of the sessions was affordable housing. And our students, I must say, we would tell them at the beginning of the session, you are going to get a migraine headache when it comes to this, and we will finish and you will not have a clue as to what this is all about. So I will just let you know that I'm going to try to make this as straightforward and simple as possible. But if you don't understand certain things, it's not because you don't have the intellectual capability of understanding. It's just that this is a very complicated, as New Jersey does oftentimes, regulations in the state. So on that note, I will start this presentation.
Thank you. Okay, one thing, Ms. Gruel. Ladies and gentlemen, in the back, Ms. Gruel is going to speak as loud as she can. If you can't hear, please just raise your hand and she will speak a little louder. The goal is that everybody hears what's going on. Yes, okay, she didn't start yet.
I can hear you.
Well, I can try and.
There you go.
Okay. Hang on one second.
Conference room?
Closed captions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
Janice, do we have any folding chairs? No?
Yeah.
Conference
Can we
room?
take some of the chairs from the, okay. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess till we get some chairs for the people in the back.
Like, these big, you approve that, chairs and aisles?
Hi, how are you? Oh, well.
There's no trust.
I should have my machines like my hallway, like it's such a big thing. I had another thing that was the call. So, yeah, fine.
It was such a.
My phone's.
You had a crazy.
Prior rounds and, and what was. Yeah. Almost 450,000. Yeah. I get a quarter distance. I don't know why. My miles don't spend very long. Actually, stop it. I ended up ready to be down. Like the alleyway, and I'm like, oh my god. This happens on scales like us. Yeah, that is like. Yeah. It's why call for like that's why. No, okay. I think that's something. Yeah, just ask Frank about
Okay,
it.
so have some people come up and sit up in the front. That's all I got.
Do a little, you know.
What about-
switch over or not?
Is there a way to leave the door open, have them stand? Okay.
They're not big TV. Ask Pete if they can do that. This way, if they have a question, they can just come in here and ask.
On the conference, you can stream this via Zoom on the TV in there.
Oh. Because if you do that, they want to ask a question, then they would just walk down.
I like their.
I thought I worked. from home.
Like usually in. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a totally forgotten name. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. It was about a was that before we ever started? Fire chief and
Yeah.
we're finding it way. Let me go to my hand.
Okay, so no more chairs. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to have people sit in the, could you switch over?
Chairman, we're live.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Quiet down, please. Welcome back. We're trying to get people seated in the room here. Thank you very much. Okay. Shh. Ladies and gentlemen, please quiet down. Okay, Ms. Gruhl, go right ahead.
Thank you. Okay, What I want to start with what this plan is, and it's a draft, what this plan is and what this plan is not. Okay? There is a requirement for every municipality in the state of New Jersey to address its affordable housing obligation. Okay, can you hear me now? The mic is on.
You need to bring it really close. Really close.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, guys. There's too much noise in the background. You can't be heard if there's too much noise. So thank you very much. We appreciate that.
In the back. Sure. Good, okay.
Closed captioning up here.
Okay.
Well, I'm just telling you that closed captioning is there and that the microphone, she can speak into the microphone. The microphone is working because closed captioning is picking it up. If we can't see, I would suggest that you position yourself best you can, so that you can see. I'm not gonna argue with anybody. The closed caption is up there and that's the accommodation we made, and we just lost our video feed.
Okay, should I continue or not?
No.
Wait, one moment.
Okay,
Hang on.
I will wait. I will just make sure that. Okay,
Okay,
okay. What I said was what I wanted to just explain generally what this plan, draft plan is and what it's not. And what this is, it is, first of all, it is a component of the township master plan. And the master plan, if anybody has followed what a master plan is, it's the policy document for development within a municipality. And every municipality has to have a master plan. It's a policy document that is adopted by the planning board. The housing plan, I'm going to call it the housing plan. It is called the Housing Element Fair Share Plan, but for short, it's the housing plan. It addresses the affordable housing obligation in the municipality based upon certain regulations and standards that are promulgated through the state and through the state legislature. Okay? That's what it is. It's not. It is not an ordinance. That comes next. Once the plan, as you know with a master plan, again, sets the plan, sets the policy, sets recommendations maybe about land use and rezoning. And then the council, the governing body, adopts ordinances to implement the recommendations in the master plan. So again, this is the first step. The second step is adoption of ordinances that would implement the recommendations in the housing plan. The third step, which this document is not, and I'm sure everybody is aware of this, then the last step are development applications. And those development applications come in front of this board for approval. Site plan, subdivision approval, that's where all the level of detail that how they are going to comply with the ordinances that are adopted by the governing body and how it addresses the master plan goals and the master plan and the housing plan. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that everybody understood this is only the first step. This is the policy document that addresses affordable housing. It is not a development application and it is not the zoning. So starting with that, I want to go through what does it mean that we're in the fourth round of affordable housing. We've been having fun with affordable housing in New Jersey for years. Oh my God. So they are divided into housing rounds. And it started in 1987, which was the first round. And the second round was 1993. They are now known as the prior round obligation. That is a 12-year period from 87 to 99. Then the third round, which was just finished, is from 1999 to 2025, June of 2025. We are now in the fourth round. This is from June of 2025 to for the next 10 years, 2035. And that's the way, these are not rules that the township came up with, the county came up with. These are state regulations, and the courts came up with this as well. So just so you know. Now if I can. Okay.
Because it's not on the PowerPoint mode, it's just on the web browser at this point, so you might just have to click to the next. So I don't think it'll work on the clicker because it's just in the browser.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if you don't mind pulling with that. I just don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, in your downloads, if you open that, go back to that download really quick. Just in your right click on it. Can you open it with oh, sorry. One more time. Oh, no, sorry, go back one more time to the download. Yeah, right click, hover over open with. Go down, open with right below it. Adobe Acrobat. View, so click view at the top, on the top left. Full screen mode at the bottom. Yep, fantastic, and that should work. Okay, I got it.
I'm right here, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thank heavens. I've got the young. Okay, all right. So, probably people have their own perception of what affordable housing means. And I want to make sure that everybody understands what affordable housing means, because there is a misconception of that. So affordable housing is broken up into, and again, we're talking about regulations, we're talking about state requirements. It's broken up into 3 different categories. Moderate is 50 to 80% of the median household income for the region. And the next slide will give you some numbers to show you what that means. Low is more than 30%, but less than 50% of the median for the region, housing region. And very low is 30% or less of median household income for the region. And there's certain requirements as to how many units, affordable units, need to be very low, 13%, low, and moderate. So as we go to, well, what does that mean in terms of numbers? This is really an important slide because I'm sure people are saying, well, what the heck does that mean? How does that translate? Essex County is in housing region 2. There's 6 housing regions in the state. And normally a 4-person household is what we normally use, but there are 1, 2, 3. The median income for region 2 is about $135,000. A moderate income household that is considered to be affordable housing can make up to over $108,000 a year. For a low income, that's over $67,000 a year. And for a very low income is about $40,000, a little over $40,000 a year for a 4-person household. We are not talking about Section 8 housing here. We're talking about a different type of housing that is affordable to these households that the state regulates and requires. Okay, so now we're into West Orange. And what are West Orange's numbers and how are they going to have to meet these? As we talked about, there were different rounds. There are 4 rounds. The prior round, West Orange had an obligation of 226 units, and that's affordable units. For the third round, it was 954 units. Now, I would note that West Orange had a court-approved third round plan that not only addressed the third round obligation, but addressed the prior round obligation as well. And that was adopted in November of 2020. Maybe some of you were here for that. And it has a number of sites that were identified. Many of those sites have already been developed. That is in the draft plan because one of the requirements was to address and to determine what the status is of the housing sites that were in the former plan and see whether they had been constructed, whatever it may be. The fourth round obligation is 660 units of affordable units. And that was, as all municipalities had to do, it was affirmed by court order. This round has been extremely quick, I would say. Things had to happen very quickly. So by the end of January, every municipality had to determine whether they agreed with the obligation. Now, I am not going to, because if you think this stuff is bad, you should see the methodology that they use to determine the numbers by municipality. But generally speaking, there were 3 criteria that were used, one of which was non-residential assessed value, and the difference, the trend of what happened. Did it go up? Did it go down? Whatever. The second was the income of the people that lived in the residents that lived in the town. And the third was land capacity. And those were thrown into a big black box, shook around, and numbers sprued out and came out. And West Orange, and that's all I'm going to say, because there are a lot of things that could happen with those. But I will say that as a result, West Orange's number was 660 units. And that's what the housing plan had to address in some way. There was also a rehabilitation obligation, and that is called present need. That essentially is a statistical number that identifies, based upon certain criteria that are in the census, deficient housing. And that's like overcrowding. You don't have plumbing facilities, you don't have a telephone. Those are 409 units that are technically deficient units within the municipality. Okay, so that's what we're working with for the plan. Okay, and what we talked about, I'm sorry, I went away. You can hear me? In the back there? Okay. What I talked about before was what the purpose of the plan is, to meet the needs of affordable housing and how a municipality is going to address those needs. And there are 2 component parts to the plan. The first part is called the housing element. That's really a statistical assessment of the demographics and the housing characteristics of the municipality. And the second part is called the fair share plan. It talks about how the affordable housing will be addressed, present and prospective needs. Okay. But as I said before, I'm going to just talk about it generically as the housing plan. And as I also talked about the process, the planning board adopts a housing plan because it is part of the master plan for the municipality. So this board is in charge of adopting a housing plan. The governing body endorses the adopted housing plan. And again, as we talked about, they're the ones that implement the recommendations that are identified within the housing plan. They do the rezoning. And then what happens, and I'm sure you're wondering, what the heck is the program? Under the amended Fair Housing Act that was recently adopted, and we're all using for this, there is what's called the program that was set up to really be the administrative component. What used to be COA, Council on Affordable Housing, which no longer exists, it's kind of taken over that, kind of. It is made up of retired judges, 7 retired judges, and they're the ones that kind of steer this program. They also have experts. What used to be called court masters, which were generally planners, are now called, because you have to come up with a new name for everything, court adjudicators. So they are now called court adjudicators, and they assist the the program with whether the municipalities meet their obligation, address what has to be in everything and such. Okay. And this basically, it's kind of like doing your tax returns. You try to maximize credits. You try to maximize what you can take and minimize how much you have to pay. So I'll kind of use that as an example. There are a number, and again, see, this is where, your head starts to spin, because there are all these requirements and caps and everything else. For example, just as an example, there's a maximum number of senior units that can be taken of 30%. So whatever you come up with in your plan, it can't be more than 30% senior housing. It used to be in the old regulations, 25%. So they increased that to 30%. So you've got all these different categories that you have to factor in to address. And you can get certain bonuses as well as part of that, but you can't get more than 25% bonuses, which is a whole other thing. So I just want to let you know that there's a lot of stuff that you have to consider in light of whatever the plan is. Okay. Now we get into some of the terms that I'm sure you've heard, but maybe you're not quite sure what they mean. It's called a VLA, vacant land adjustment. And that's for municipalities just like West Orange, just like many of the municipalities in the state of New Jersey, that really just do not have the land in order to address their obligation. So there is a component of a provision that was in the old Fair Housing Act, it's in the new one, that permits a municipality to take an adjustment to their obligation. And it's called a VLA. And as you see, you determine it's a very complicated mapping exercise. You use your tax assessment data and you determine what is available in terms of vacant and redevelopable land for affordable housing to determine what the end result is. It's called an RDP. Here we go. So we have a VLA, vacant land assessment. And at the end of the vacant land assessment, you come up with what's called a realistic development potential, or an RDP. And that basically says, hey, we've looked at all the parcels within the municipality, and we only have so many parcels, and we can only deal with X number of units. And that becomes your realistic development potential, or your what's called the RDP. So you can look, and there are two components of your obligation for any developed municipality. It would be, what is the RDP? And then what's that extra? The one that you have an obligation, but it's not addressed through the RDP. It's called the unmet need. That's the need that's still out there, but frankly, it can't be met directly by necessarily just rezoning, because you don't have enough vacant developable land, or developable land, I should say. So we have VLA, vacant land adjustment, RDP, realistic development potential, and then we have unmet need. So all those component parts are taken into account when we address the obligation. And there are different ways of addressing the category of RDP and unmet need. And I just want to let you know that. Okay, so West Orange received a vacant land adjustment in 2017, or the 2020 court approved plan, as part of its third round compliance. Okay, and that was the third round compliance was 954 units. The third round RDP was 421 units, and the unmet need was 533 units. So as you see, it's divided into two different categories. This kind of summarizes some of these adjusted obligations based upon the vacant land assessment. You see the prior round, you see the third round, and you saw how that was broken down into the RDP and the unmet need. And now for the fourth round, which is 660 units, we have a 0 RDP, because we'd already taken the vacant land adjustment and used that, and so it's 0. But we have an unmet need of 660. It's in that category. Okay, again, we have these two categories. What does that mean? We'll get to that, why it's important. The new Fair Housing Act it's a new regulation that requires municipalities to address at least 25% of the prospective need, which is the 660 units, has to address that through overlay and rezoning. And that would be adjusted, and that would be 165 units That's 25% of the 660. Okay? So that's where we are. We'll continue going. Okay. So when we looked at the different sites, one of the considerations was, are they suitable? I'll use the term generically suitable. There are criteria in which, and anybody that has read the draft recognizes that any site that is in there, we have evaluated based upon, or any site that's proposed that is in there, we have evaluated based upon these 4 criteria that is used and accepted by the courts. Available. Title, it's clear title, and any easements, is it available? Approvable. Does it meet the regulations of agencies with jurisdiction? And it doesn't have to be currently zoned for low and moderate income housing to be approvable. Developable. Does it have access to water and sewer infrastructure? And is it consistent with the water quality management plan, wastewater management plan? Now, some municipalities that have no sewer out there in Warren and Sussex County, they take a durational adjustment because they don't have the infrastructure now in order to do anything. But that obviously is not the situation in West Orange. And then suitable means it's adjacent to compatible land uses, has access to appropriate streets, and is consistent with environmental policies. Okay, so those are the criteria that were used to evaluate sites. So how did we address the 25% of unmet need, or that 165 unit? Please, if you can't hear me in the back, please raise your hand. Okay, because sometimes I walk away from the mic. That's 165 units. This is 4th round. Remember, we're in 4th round. There have been some developments that can go against the 165 units. Those are the West, that's already been developed. That has 11 affordable units. We have 172, 174 Main Street. That has 1 affordable unit, or it's proposed, it's approved for. And then there are a number of existing, and I say that very clearly, existing group homes that are scattered throughout the township. And in that instance, you count bedrooms rather than units. So if you have a 3-bedroom group home, you get 3 credits for that 3-bedroom group home. So there are 21 existing group homes throughout the township. We continue with proposed inclusionary developments. Now, when we say inclusionary development, that's another term of art. We're talking about a development that has both market rate units and affordable units in them. Generally speaking, inclusionary developments have anywhere from 15 to 20% of the units must be affordable, and the remaining are market rate. And the concept behind this is that the affordable units are subsidized by the market rate units, and internal subsidy. That's how it works. At least that's a concept. That's all I can say. So we have a number of proposed inclusionary developments. We have 216, 222 Main Street, 3 affordable units. We have 275 Northfield Avenue, 14 affordable units. We have 762 Pleasant Valley Way, 12 affordable units. We have the Essex House, 525 Northfield Avenue, 12. We have 103 Pleasant Valley Way, Green Hill, 39. And we have 350 Pleasant Valley Way, 59. So that totals 139 units. So now we're getting up to what is necessary in terms of meeting this obligation. The next one is there are several, 100 proposed, 100% affordable units of developments that are on township-owned property. 28 Babcock Place, 4 units, and 4 Tompkins Street, 4 units. So that's 8 units right there. That has no market unit. Those have no proposed no market units. Those are all affordable units. Can you hear me? Okay. And then we have the proposed continuing care retirement community, Daughters of Israel, at 1155 Pleasant Valley Way. And again, these are beds, but they count as units in the course. So there's 41 beds proposed. So as we go through this, we have the 25, this again, we're trying to address the unmet need, 25% of the unmet need. And we have the existing and approved inclusionary development. We have the existing group homes. We have proposed inclusionary developments. We have proposed 100% affordable units. And then we have this proposed CCRC. And that adds 200, that's up to 221 units. So over the 25%, but it's 221 units. Now, how do we address the remaining unmet need? That's where we get into the next. And as I said to you, you get bonus credits, and I'm not going to go through what credits are what. It talks about it in the plan, in the draft plan, but you get certain bonus credits, and we determined that there were 76 bonus credits that could be gotten. Again, here we're doing our tax return. And on top of that, we have the existing mandatory set-aside ordinance. And let me explain what that is. It was adopted as a component of your third round plan. So it was adopted in 2020. And basically what that ordinance says is if a property is rezoned, it gets a zoning board approval, and it generates 5 or more multifamily residential units, then 20% of those units need to be affordable. Now, it doesn't require the municipality to do anything, but it basically says, if you do this, then you will have a part that is 20%. So there are no numbers attached with that, but that's how the remaining 660 units is addressed. Okay? So that's how we were addressing the prospective need of 660 and how it was all broken down. Now we talked about the present need. The present need, which is the deficient housing technically in the municipality, is 409 units. There are 2 programs that can address that. And you have successfully addressed that. You have the county program. Essex County has a home improvement program. But the township has a very good rehabilitation program where it provides loans, low interest loans, and it is funded through the township's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So if somebody is a lower moderate, if somebody is an affordable household and is in a deficient unit, and it requires substantial rehab, not cosmetic, but substantial, they can go to this fund, get qualified and get money to upgrade the unit. And that's what the intent is. Okay? So we're now next steps. Okay? As we talked about, the township council endorses the housing plan. Then the township attorney submits the housing plan to the affordable housing. It's called the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program. That's where I said the program, and it's retired, 7 retired judges. The deadline for challenges to the fair share plan, for those that, and the township is not one of them, and we'll get into that just a little, but is December 31st. So for any municipality that filed their housing plan, adopted and filed their housing plan with the program, as of June 30th of this year, they're under these standards, although I suspect all of the plans will be under this standard. March 15th of next year is the deadline for the township to amend its housing plan and adopt the related ordinances and resolutions according to any changes from the program. And again, you know, I just want to note, I would be very surprised if the housing plan, even if this is adopted as is, doesn't come through with other changes just through this process, because I just think it's going to happen. And many of the municipalities expect that that's what's going to happen as well. It's an evolving process. And I'm not sure that everybody really has a good handle on this new process. This is new. We used to have COA, and then we had the courts, and now we have the program. So we're all kind of trying to figure out what's going on. I will try to answer any questions that anyone has. However, I have to tell you that don't be surprised if I say to you, I don't know the answer, because there are just certain questions that I know you'll probably answer that I just won't know. And I'm not going to tell you something that I may say, I think this is what's going to happen, but we're going to see what happens. So thank you very much for your attention. Yeah. Yeah, those are just for people that are visual people, and it's in the plan, but just for people that are visual people, and I forgot. This is our map that shows all of the round 4 proposed sites. Okay, just so you know. Yeah, that should be online. Let me ask. A good question right there.
Yes, this is on our website.
This is on the website online. I would recommend everybody read it. And particularly if you have trouble going to sleep at night, start reading it right before you want to go to sleep. It'll put you to sleep right away. So, thank you for that. Well, or it'll wake you up. I don't know what.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gruhl, for the comprehensive representation of our plan. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's the way we're going to do this. I need the audience to be quiet also. So it's a team effort here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we usually divide this into comments, but some people may have questions. You can come up, you have 3 minutes for comment and or question. Okay, so everybody will have a chance, but 3 minutes, and I'm going to politely ask you to be done with your comment and or question at the end of 3 minutes. I will also ask If one person asks that question, states that comment, we don't hear it from 37 people. Okay, the goal is that the planner hears the comment and or question, answers it to the best of her ability, and that the board hears the comment and or question. So again, if 37 more people have the same comment or question, I'd like you to not come up, or I will ask you politely. I'll thank you very much and ask you to sit down. So one at a time, please come up to the center microphone, speak loudly, and address a comment or question. And we're going to have a timer up very shortly. Okay, please state your name for the record, and we'll go from there.
My name's Andrea.
Speak into the microphone, ma'am.
My name is, can you hear me? I don't think it's on. It's on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, my name's Andrea Marcus. I have a couple questions. Looking at the locations that are prospective, a lot of them seem to be on Pleasant Valley Way. And for one thing, the roads are already congested, which I'm sure will be brought up. But in addition, having more housing, having children play on a road that is already dangerous, from those programs, from those units, to me seems irresponsible. And also, of course, I'm sure everyone will mention, it takes away the ability for those families to be in green areas, green leafy areas, where most families in needing affordable housing would rather have their children be. Instead, it's all along Pleasant Valley Way, and it's already like a nightmare with dangerous traffic for young children. So why would that have been a choice? That's my question. Is it just because that's the only land available?
Ms. Gruels,
Would you like me to?
go right ahead. Absolutely. And pull the microphone down.
Yep, yep, yep.
And,
I know.
oh,
I
we're working.
just said yep. I just said yep. Okay, let me stand up because I think that you can hear me better if I stand up. Okay, can you hear me back there? No. You know what? Okay. Can you hear me now? No. You know what? Let's put this over on here. You know what? I'm gonna go, I was doing all right over here, so I think I'm gonna go over there. If you don't mind. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, good. Good question. It's not the first time we've heard that question, not only in terms of West Orange, but in terms of other municipalities where we've done housing plans. And I do not want to be the messenger, but I will, and then you can throw stuff at me, but I'd rather have you throw it at the courts. They, to a certain extent, don't care. There is a constitutional obligation for every municipality to address their affordable housing. And whether it affects the number of school-age kids in the schools, whether it affects traffic, whatever it does, that is almost not considered. However, on top of that, what I would say is, and remember we talked about the 3 phases of development of this housing plan. This is the first phase. Anyone that's been at a planning board meeting for a development application knows that there are many times traffic studies and other types of studies that have to occur. And also there have to be considerations of factors to mitigate those impacts as such. So this board is very expert at dealing with those types of considerations. But I'm not trying to lighten what you asked by any means. And there were a number of, we looked at opportunities, not only vacant parcels that were not severely environmentally constrained, but we also looked at potential redevelopment sites also. And we also considered those owners that came in and wanted to construct on some of those sites. So that was taken into account as well. But again, your comments are well taken.
Okay. Next person, please come up, state your name and ask your question or state your comment, please. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. Ms. Marcus? I need your address for the record, please. Thank you.
My name's Grayson Jordan. I'm 11 Lowell Place. Grayson Jordan. I'm at 11 Lowell Place in West Orange. I'm an architect, been practicing for 25 years. I specialize in affordable housing. I'm an architect. I've been practicing for 25 years in the area of affordable housing in New York City. First of all, thank you for the excellent presentation. Secondly, I don't have a question. I want to impress on this board that this is an opportunity. I know affordable housing is hard. I know there's infrastructure questions. I'll
We're
speak
going
up.
to turn off the air conditioning. One moment, sir.
I know there are infrastructure questions, there's school questions, but it's also a tremendous opportunity. If we think of this as a way of developing our town, not a piece here, not a piece there, but we can create a critical mass in one part of our town. We can, especially a part of the town that's near train, thinking Valley on the east side of town. We could imagine a space that could be just as vibrant, have just as much nightlife as Montclair or Maplewood or South Orange. These are spaces that I think if we get the right, just use not vacant land, using zoning as a tool, increasing density, encouraging retail on the ground floor, encouraging cultural uses. And I think perhaps collaborating with our neighbors at Orange. I think this is the way I would encourage the board to be thinking about this problem as an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, I need your name for the record, please, again. Thank you.
Come right up, please. State your name for the record and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name I'm a low talker. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to try to swallow this mic as much as I can. My name is Jacqueline Hendy. I live at 6 Beverly Road. I do have some questions, but I did prepare something, so I'm just going to go through that real quick because I thank you for your presentation. It was very helpful. But I am actually here to express my deep concern and opposition to the proposed corporate developments currently under consideration, products that offer little more than a token gesture of affordable housing in exchange for massive commercial gain. You said, let's call the plan what it is and what it isn't. So I'm going to call this plan what it is to me, corporate greed. The proposals are not about the community. They're not about solving the housing crisis. They're about maximizing profit under the guise of public benefit. And the inclusion of a small percentage of affordable housing is nothing more than a cynical ploy, a checkbox to justify pushing forward projects that will cause long-term harm to our town. At the current trajectory, we will need to add 6,000 units, and I'm being conservative, before we meet our affordable housing obligations. These developments don't even come close to that, and they don't prioritize meeting the urgent need. And don't be swayed, affordable housing doesn't mean not profitable. The idea that grossly disproportionate amount of market rate units are necessary to subsidize affordable housing is misleading. It is a narrative pushed to justify profit-heavy development, not a reflection of economic necessity. These developments, if improved, will place a dangerous and irreversible strain on our already fragile infrastructure. Our roads, utilities, and schools are barely managing. Our school is $9 million in debt. To pile on large-scale developments with no meaningful development in these support systems is reckless. It is irresponsible. Environmentally, the cost is staggering. They will pave over green spaces, increase emissions, worsen climate impact locally at a time when we should be doing everything in our power to preserve and protect our shared environments. Our schools are overcrowded. Our roads are deteriorating. Our water and our energy systems are stretched thin. adding thousands of new market rate units with little regards to these realities is not progress, it's exploitation. To approve this is to ignore the long-term needs of the people who actually live here. It's to capitulate to pressure from developers who do not care about our town, only their bottom line. I'm shaking. This is how passionate I am about this. This is my home. I'm raising my children here. I'm caring for my elderly mother-in-law here. This is not responsible planning. It is not in the public interest, and it is certainly not leadership. And at the very least, West Orange needs to hire a full-time professional planner. Someone you can ensure that any developments brought forth are aligned with the preservation and future of our town. Without expert dedicated oversight, we risk losing control over what makes our community special and sets us further back from finding real, equitable solutions. Under no circumstances should these projects move forward without genuine community benefit, real affordable housing, not symbolic units, infrastructure investment, environmental protection, and support for our schools. Our future deserves better, and we deserve better.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Roz.
Go right ahead.
Roz Moskowitz, 11 Wedgewood Drive.
Guys, we're trying to give everybody time to speak and be heard. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Moskowitz.
There is absolutely nothing fair about the fair share housing plan currently before the board. While we can all acknowledge the need for affordable housing, it must not come at the complete loss of our suburban quality of life for the residents and businesses that have invested in their time, energy, and finances in our suburban bucolic area that we call home. The Pleasant Valley Way corridor is already a very busy north-south 4-lane arterial connector with over 26,000 cars per day. How will our limited roads handle the automobiles from 1,200 new units? It simply cannot. How can our limited, rapidly aging sewer system handle over 1,200 new units, especially after the additional water runoff from the decimation of thousands of trees? It simply cannot. There must be a better plan to preserve the quality of life for all of us, and this is not that plan. As a lifelong Pleasantdale resident, Pleasantdale business owner, and pedestrian safety advocate, I urge you to reject this plan. Please do not turn Pleasant Valley Way into Unpleasant Valley Way.
Good evening, board members. My name is Joyce Rudin. I'm a council member. And can you hear me? And I am very concerned about this plan because this plan will determine the future of West Orange. This draft reads like a cut and paste of a developer's wish list, and it's highly concentrated in Pleasant Valley Way, as others have said. These are my questions to you. The law on page 38 of your report requires that at least 25% of the total units be rentals. Why then is this plan proposing 100% rental units? Is the goal to create generations of renters, not homeowners? The law also states, again on page 38, that 50% of affordable units must be for families with children. This could mean a minimum of 550 new children entering our crowded schools, considering the unmet obligation from round 3. How does your plan address this issue? The report states that 13% of affordable units are for very low income households. Are you aware that 25% of the affordable units at Stonehill behind ShopRite, 16 out of the 64 are currently unrented? The owner can't find eligible tenants despite 10,000 apparent applications. Also, this planning board passed resolution PB 1905C, which stated that 65 affordable units would be built at 46 Mount Pleasant Avenue, right next door, our former library site. However, This report credits, your report credits only 17 units towards our obligation. Mr. Bagoff, Mr. Klein, Mayor McCartney, Mr. Wilks, you sat on the board at that time that this resolution was passed. Would you have agreed to it had you known that only 17 of the 65 units would count towards our obligation? The public and the board were led to believe that all 65 units would count, and that belief was the basis for approving the library's move and gifting the developer a $500,000 50-year no-interest loan. Was this board misled? How did this happen? What are the statistics in this? Why are the statistics in this document from 2023? Why use 2-year-old data? Doesn't the planning department have up-to-date information? Table 12 on page 22 shows 0 units built from until after 2020. What about the 500 units at Stonehill and the new senior housing building? Table 13 on page 23 states that there were 837 vacant units in 2023. How many are available now, and why aren't those being considered? On page 25, you listed 861 units authorized by the building department, but this contradicts table 12, which claims 0 new units. This plan also includes 500 units from West Essex Highland. Did the board review the West Essex concept plan from the 2020 settlement to ensure that the current proposal aligns with it? The largest building in this proposal was moved 50 feet towards a steep slope buffer zone, making it incompatible with the original plan. Was this checked before you included it? To meet fair share housing requirements, developments must meet 4 criteria as you outlined: available, approvable, developable, and suitable. The proposed developments on Pleasant Valley Way fail on the account of suitability due to steep slopes, wetlands, and safety issues. What was the thinking to allow placing an entrance just 50 feet off exit 7 on 280 on a downward slope ending in wetlands? 4 of the 5 plans have only 1 entrance and exit while adding hundreds of units. Fire trucks at the proposed 762 Pleasant Valley Way wouldn't even be able to turn around. Tonight you face pressure, all of you face pressure to approve a plan due to lawsuits over builder's remedy, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't send it back for proper revision. Here are some alternative ideas. Utilize existing housing stock. Consider negotiating with landlords of vacant apartments to offer lower rents in exchange for tax credit. That would be more cost effective than the infrastructure costs of adding over 3,000 new units. Leverage downtown properties. Look for foreclosures and partner with nonprofits like Habitat for Humanity to create affordable housing. Try negotiating with the CVS owner on Main Street for potential affordable housing. Consider ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units that allow for basement apartments, convert attics or garages to house elderly or special needs family members for bonus points. Increase affordable quotas. Require developments meet 100% affordability, not just a small percentage. Finally, just one more sentence. As this all points to the obvious, we needed a long time ago, a full-time planner, an experienced person to guide us forward. This hire would have prevented the current chaos we all face, and as a board, you have the authority to demand this. Let's not be driven by expediency or developer greed. We, the residents, are looking to you to get this right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Derek Orth, and I'm here on behalf tonight of the Daughters of Israel. First and foremost, we are thrilled to see that the Daughters' proposal for a CCRC community is included in West Orange's 4th round housing plan. From the outset, we urge the board to approve the Daughters' proposal. By doing so, this board will ensure that the seniors in this community will continue to have a place where they can receive high-quality care, services, and a wonderful place to live. As the board is aware, the Daughters have a long-standing place in this community and in the lives of many, many families that they have served over the past century. Their existing skilled nursing facility is in dire need of modernization and conversion to a state-of-the-art continuing care retirement community known as a CCRC. By way of limited example only, the Daughters of Israel have cared for over 513 seniors, 150 of which most recently resided in West Orange before moving to the Daughters facility. The Daughters are one of the many reasons that West Orange is such a great place to live, to raise a family, and to stay close to our parents as they age. As children, we all know just how exciting it was to visit Grandma and Grandpa. And as adults and as parents, we know and understand how important it is that these interactions are for our children. These visits and the knowledge that our parents are being well cared for establish a continuity with the past and a firm basis for our families going forward. The Daughters are very active in the West Orange community, as many of you know as well. They provide meals through the Essex County Meals on Wheels program. They deliver more than 1 meal per day to 40 West Orange seniors and 3 meals on Friday for the weekends. They serve as a training site for many skilled nursing programs in the area, including but not limited to the Essex County College School of Nursing. They also provide transportation services for our seniors and adults with developmental disabilities. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, and as this board is aware, the Daughters facility is aging out. And if it's not redeveloped into a new CCRC facility, it will be forced to close within the next decade. Now that would be tragic, both for our West Orange families who will no longer have skilled nursing staff to care for our seniors, and for our seniors who will no longer be able to live in this community. Now, as this board is aware, the Daughters' original proposal to revamp their facility into a state-of-the-art CCRC was unfortunately denied by the West Orange Zoning Board, and that matter is now pending with the courts. This fourth round of affordable housing, controversial as it may be in some quarters, does provide us with a new opportunity to right that wrong. Now, a few months ago, my partner, John Inglesino, came to the West Orange Council and presented 2 proposals. One of them was for a CCRC facility, which is included in your plan tonight, consisting of 311 beds, which would permit the Daughters to not only to survive, but also to thrive in this community that they have grown and loved. I'm going to close out right now, Mr. Chairman. We are incredibly pleased to see that the West Orange Planning Board has included the Daughters facility in its plan. We are aware that several members in the community have raised concerns about traffic along Pleasant Valley Way in this community. None of these concerns have anything to do with the Daughters proposal. This is a low impact use. This is an existing use in this community, and it permits our valued seniors to remain exactly where they are, well cared for, in close proximity to all of their families. And we ask you to approve it tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Come right up, state your name and the address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Wendy Schuman, 21 Curry Lane, West Orange.
Thank you.
Okay.
Speak louder, ma'am.
Wendy Schuman, 20. Oh. Wendy Schuman, 21 Curry Lane, West Orange. I'm a resident of the Highlands. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right
Yeah,
ahead, ma'am.
I don't have no,
Shh.
sorry. I don't have a prepared statement, and but I do
That's
completely
okay.
concur with what Councilwoman Rudin said. And she took a lot of my thoughts and put them so beautifully. But I would like to say as a resident of the Highlands that the site that was chosen, which is an old growth forest on a hill right above where we all live, where 300 units are right now, is unsuitable, in your words, is an unsuitable site for another almost 500 units of housing, 1,200 cars. There are 1,200 parking spots, and also for some reason, a business of a dog grooming and dog boarding business, which I don't believe is part of the of any plan. I don't know why that's even in there. And so, so I think I can speak for our residents in saying that this is not a suitable site. Environmentally, it is a disaster.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come right up, state your name and address for the record, please. Thank you. You have 3 minutes. Thank
Hi,
you.
my name's Lisa Thaler. I live at 70 Blackburn Terrace. in West Orange.
Yes.
I'd just like to say that in the last, oh, sorry,
Could
in
we
the,
hold the microphone, please? Thank you.
got it, okay. In the last 10 years or so, I've seen many of my friends and family members who once saw their parents as very vibrant and vital people, need some help as they aged. And I know, and I've been to Daughters of Israel many times visiting with my friends and also my own personal family, who've lived there. My mom is 97 years old, and I'm very happy to spend lots of time with her. And one of the reasons that she is still as active as she is because there's a lot of people around her that care for her and make sure that she gets the right health care and love. And I think all of us are in agreement that we want all our parents and grandparents, to have that opportunity to grow older gracefully and healthy, and for us to enjoy them and them to enjoy us and throw some more guilt at us when we need it. So I love the idea that the Daughters of Israel will be expanding and hopefully, help so many people. I think that it would be a huge enhancement to this community, for this community, the people who live in this community and their families, as you never know when it's going to hit you, what you're going to need, and to have those family members and those friends of yours near you that you can visit and help them maintain their health, emotionally and physically, is very important. And I hope that, that's the thing that I like the most about it. I've seen Daughters of Israel change through the years and adapt to the needs of people in our area who need them, through, a lot of services that they give you, their rehabilitative services and personal, just everything, therapies and some of the things that were mentioned, the transport services and all the great things that they do there. And if, and I just think it's a wonderful opportunity to keep those people near and dear and know that they're safe and know that you can visit them, they can visit you. They're getting great care in a community that they don't have to leave, because I've seen friends who've had to relocate their parents and family members, and it's not easy. In many cases, it's a detriment. And if you can keep all these people close by, in a place that's caring and near to you, I think it's win-win. And just one more thing, I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, I can't solve all these other problems with the trees and all that stuff, but I'm sure there are people who can. But what's more important to me is my family and my friends, and I would like to think that that's what's important to you as well.
Thank you very much. Could you come up and state your name and address for the record, please? And you have 3 minutes.
Debbie Butensky,
You should hold the microphones, please.
West Orange.
Ma'am, could you hold the microphone, please?
Deborah Butensky, Rapley Court, The Grand, West Orange. So the question I have for you is, you use the word rezoning. The problem is, why are we including plans of development that require areas to be rezoned at the expense of the health and the safety of the existing communities they're in? For example, the West Essex Highlands Incorporated proposed development had to be rezoned from existing zones to allow it to be implemented. As was previously stated, there are 400 rental units and 100 fair share housing that were promised. But to get to there, we had a boondoggle of allowing the developer to get credit for thousands of trees through a deer fence ordinance paragraph, which is a boondoggle because experts have stated that there is no way to reforest by putting in deer fencing. So instead of charging the developer with the trees that he is felling, he's getting a credit. So what that does for the health and safety of the region is you've now lost the tree canopy. You've also lost the absorptive power of all these trees. So we have had experts testifying about flooding. The propensity for flooding is great. Moreover, that particular development is 7 foot from a steep slope. You can't get a fire truck in there. You can't even get a fire truck between the building and the slope. And we've had experts, geotech, saying that the probability after blasting and putting in a garage under is that the slope is now unstable. So the idea of fair share housing was not to take forested areas and have them be developed in the name of providing new housing at the expense of safety and health of the township. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Will you please go up, state your name and address for the record, sir?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Todd DeBovie, 10 Burnett Terrace. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. The proposed plan for affordable housing in West Orange is quite simply unacceptable. The mayor has said publicly that she was advised not to challenge the numbers, the state's numbers. Yet we are yet again left to speculate as to who advised her of this course of action and why. Residents of West Orange have been demanding the mayor hire a dedicated full-time planner for years. These demands have been summarily rejected. It no longer matters that she has very recently agreed to issue an RFQ for a planner. This proposed plan is deficient. First and foremost, it provides a very limited location for the proposed developments. The mayor has said they're located in quote unquote every area of town, yet all are located on Pleasant Valley Way. This is not every area of town. Therefore, this plan is not a balanced plan that would benefit town residents and future residents of said areas. Another deficiency in this plan is the fact that this is being sprung on the township residents in the same fashion that every mayor-backed initiative has been handled, last minute. We are no longer willing to accept her constant claims that this is unavoidable and that this is statutory. She and her administration have had years, if not decades, to address affordable housing in West Orange, yet she and her predecessors have been negligent in taking the necessary action for the town to be compliant with state law. In addition, this plan lacks even an attempt to secure community involvement in its creation. Community input is a requirement for such a massive undertaking, and we have seen zero efforts to bring in town residents and taxpayers. To suggest that we have no choice but to accept this plan, which lacks even a modicum of inclusionary planning, is a disaster in the making for a township that is already suffering from years of fiscal mismanagement. Therefore, I implore this board to reject this outright. I would also add that given the history of failed execution by this mayor and previous mayors, I make the suggestion that she recuse herself from this matter. Everything this administration touches results in failure. A perfect example is the downtown redevelopment area, which has seen zero progress in spite of appointment of 3 different redevelopers. All we are left with is a bunch of vacant, contaminated properties.
Okay, could you
Also, why isn't
up,
the
sir?
downtown factored into this plan?
Sir, could you wrap it up,
I
please?
thank you for your time, and I know that I join the vast majority of my fellow residents and taxpayers in saying, do the right thing.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening, Justin Goldsman, 14 Moran Road. West Orange, the town within the trees, is a name that West Orange used to have when I was growing up. And my comments tonight are based on the volume of units. I want to be clear, not the type of units that are being proposed. I am a strong advocate for affordable housing when plans make sense to do so. So I have a few questions. Livingston has met their affordable housing obligation for the next 10 years. What have we learned as a town from them so that we're not in this same situation? 275 Northfield is a proposed site. That is the same exact site that had a landslide years ago. What have we done to assure the public that a landslide, again, will not be coming at the same exact location that we are proposing to build? Does this plan operate on the assumption that the West Essex Highlands proposal goes through? And if so, does this plan factor in the flood results of that proposed accepted plan? The next question is as it relates to our plan to tackle the climate crisis. We are told that there is a master energy and climate plan that is supposed to be comprehensive to encompass all factors of the town. How do these proposed developments factor into that process? Was climate considered in this process? If so, would it have been helpful, as I have asked multiple times at the Environmental Commission, for the Planning, Zoning, and Environmental Commissions to have consultation, not changing of authorities or powers, but of consultation, so that just like we are experiencing with the West Essex Highlands program, where we're having environmental issues at the last minute come up, we can address them now instead of at the midnight hour. This plan has not been talked about in an environmental lens at all. Pulling from the documents provided, this site is not constrained by wetlands is one example. A minimal amount of the site is constrained by flood and hazard areas and steep slopes. The underdevelopment portion of this site is constrained by steep slopes, wetlands, and flood hazard areas. So let me ask, is each project evaluated in the same manner? It doesn't seem so. It seems to be that we acknowledge that there's risk on some of these sites, but we're going to move ahead anyway. How does the town determine a flood area? For example, if project A makes sense, does project A make sense while project B is also being built? Do they need to be built at different times? What is the phased proposal for any of these plans? If project A doesn't result in flooding, does A, B, C, and D result in flooding? Can stormwater listen to project A, but not A, B, C, and D? None of these plans have been assessed or discussed with us. And the biggest problem, and the reason why we're here with so many people, I think, is because this should have been a town hall prior to coming to a planning board meeting to have a vote on something. We could have avoided all of this. The West Essex Highlands had a town hall meeting at the Grand Wilshire with hundreds of people that came. That wasn't a vote that night. So my basic line question is we don't have comprehensive answers to this. And as somebody mentioned ADUs, please look into the legislation sponsored by State Senator Singleton and Assemblyman Lopez, who are doing great revamps to zoning and ADU laws. That should be also part of our environment as a town to know what the state is doing to address these things so that we don't have to backpedal in 10 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Sheila Lefkowitz. I live at 703 Pleasant Valley Way. And I'm here to address the housing plan. And I'm not going to speak about individual parts or developments within that plan. I'm going to speak about it in a general sense. October 2021, residents of the Ron Jolin apartments were notified to vacate their apartments immediately as the rocky slope behind their complex has been deemed unsafe, the result of a rock slide caused by the remnants of Hurricane Ida. The whole front of the mountain has a huge gap that you can't see unless you're on top. It's about to fall. It could fall at a moment's notice. It's unlikely to survive another major storm or even the winter, said Mayor Robert Parisi, mayor of West Orange. Today, you consider an affordable housing plan that is fueled by developers cramming as much housing onto 5 sites on Pleasant Valley Way to make the maximum profit possible without respect to concerns already expressed at our zoning boards, including crowding in our schools, increasing traffic, aging infrastructure, and possible human tragedy. Our master plan requires improvement of maintenance of residential neighborhoods by encouraging rehabilitation of existing dwellings and new residential construction at suitable densities. I live on Pleasant Valley Way. Do any of you?
Would you think twice about approving this size of a plan if you did? Do you need 5 massive housing projects and the perils of this congestion will bring to produce a small fraction of our fair share housing requirement? West Orange is supposed to maintain the community scale by limiting the intensity of commercial, retail, industrial, and residential development to assure compatibility with the existing neighborhood character. Our master plan, your board's responsibility to enact and to protect our residents, says that we should give priority and consideration to drainage and curb safety. Are we accomplishing this by allowing Pleasant Valley Way, the street that I live on, which is at the midpoint of these 5 proposed developments? Have we already enough commercial commuter school first responder traffic on Pleasant Valley Way with the 2 large public schools, private schools, a fire station, businesses, houses of worship? Have you considered the trees that will be felled, the flooding risk, traffic congestion, violating our steep slope ordinance and laws about building on wetlands? I have. Have you considered how sewer systems will be overwhelmed? My neighbors and I have already been impacted by flooding and sewer backups on the streets and in our homes that adjoin on Pleasant Valley Way and that adjoin Pleasant Valley Way. How many deaths will it take till we know that too many people have died? Remember Pat Villarosa, the first grade teacher from Washington School, who died after being hit by a car crossing Pleasant Valley Way.
Wrap it up, please.
Just one example of traffic fatalities and safety concerns on Pleasant Valley Way. I need a minute.
Thank you.
Do you believe you're doing the right thing when permitting excessive redevelopment on Pleasant Valley Way without truly considering the fatal consequences to me and my neighbors in Pleasant Valley Way? With your vote, give respect to the earth. The Creator made land that was meant for humankind, while other land is needed for parts of the animal kingdom and plant kingdoms. Let's not give to ourselves that which God has given for other purposes, lest we or our descendants perish in a preventable tragedy. Let's ensure responsible and safe redevelopment for all. Rethink and modify this plan so we can responsibly meet our affordable housing obligation. Do the right thing for West Orange.
Thank you very much. Go right ahead, ma'am.
My name is Susan Work. I'm representing my father who lives at Daughters of Israel. I have power of attorney. My father has lived at Daughters of Israel now for almost 3 years. He is very healthy. He's doing really well because of the love and attention that he gets at Daughters of Israel. The facility does not match that and has not matched that. I have no choice but to have my father at Daughters of Israel. I am not going to move him. If I had known how poor the facility was, I might not have even sent him there. The idea that now he's 99, would have to share a bathroom with another resident when he has not shared a bathroom since my mother died 30 years ago makes absolutely no sense. The idea that the heart and soul of the people that work at Daughters of Israel, and they work very hard, they're excellent in what they do, but they don't have the right equipment or the right facility to do their work. The idea that my father's television, that he's not like the idea of the Wi-Fi and the this and the that.
Excuse me. I would take that up with the Daughters of Israel.
Right,
We
but,
have,
okay. Again, I know that he's receiving excellent care. I know that the facility itself does not match it. I hope that the zoning board will consider the residents at Daughters of Israel and future residents who will be receiving excellent care. Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Ma'am.
Oh, mine, I live in Colville, so my father lives at Daughters of Israel. I said at the very beginning, I'm representing my father at power of attorney.
You can do that.
That's okay. That's fine. Go right ahead, ma'am. Come right up, ma'am.
Good evening, Sally Malanga, Ridge Road.
Go right ahead, we hear you, ma'am.
On behalf of Our Green, West Orange, I have a few questions. Why wasn't this meeting held at the school auditorium where the residents could be properly accommodated? I also want to ask you why on page 12 of the plan, it states that the council passed a resolution in January of this year, number 6725, accepting responsibility for the affordable housing plan, which would guarantee us protection from builders' remedy lawsuits. Why are we being subjected to those lawsuits? Please also explain the exact number of market rate units required to accommodate the affordable housing requirements. Regarding Daughters of Israel, I attended those hearings at the zoning board. There is a gross and cynical manipulation of the public taking place by the Daughters of Israel. Their plan is not about serving the needy in the future. They proposed to the zoning board a plan where they would be selling $500,000 units to the public. So their mission has changed. They are not intent on serving the less indigent and needy. They lost their case at the zoning board because of excessive height variance and overbuilding, essentially greed. Regarding this plan that's being proposed tonight, it's a cure for affordable housing with terrible side effects. We can't afford to take down this many trees in our town, which is already denuded under this administration from 30% to 27% tree canopy with commensurate flooding, which will make our residents more miserable at every rainstorm. Adding this many cars to our streets where our traffic lights are already backed up will again make new and current residents miserable. All the children in the schools will suffer when we can't afford the structures or more teachers. This plan needs to go back to the drawing board and be made more considerate of the natural features of our town, our school system, and our infrastructure. Please don't vote on this plan. Thank you.
My name is Louisa Cassar. I live at 59 Davy Drive. And since I have been attending these planning board meetings, I have never heard anyone represent the interests of the 300 West Essex Highlands families who are the most impacted by the proposed development. Before you reach a decision, I would appreciate it if you would consider the following. The residents of the West Essex Highlands were never afforded the opportunity to vote against the proposed development, in spite of the fact that each West Essex Highland resident owns a percentage of Warner Road. In 2020, during COVID, an agreement was reached without any genuine input from.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, ma'am. We're not talking about West Essex Highlands.
Instead, we were told, I'm talking about the development that impacts us. And I think I should be able to talk about it.
I want you to be clear because the people here are listening about the plan that was proposed, but the West Essex Highlands is not that plan. That's a different meeting of the planning board.
So we're not allowed to speak.
Well, you can say it, but it's not associated with the plan we're hearing tonight.
It impacts us because we live
I'm not-
where they're.
I'm not saying you haven't, ma'am. You have to listen for a second. Okay, would you listen for a second? That's in the third round. That's happened already. We're talking about something different this evening. Okay, the goal is that the people in the room can speak to what was presented tonight, which is not that. If you want to have another minute and say the rest of it, that's okay, but you just have to understand, we have to talk about what was spoken about this evening. So if you want to take another minute, you can finish.
I mean, I don't quite understand you.
I und-
Because we are talking about a development that can cause catastrophic effects to the current 300 residents that live there.
I understand what
And
you're,
we have a right to express ourselves.
Yeah,
because up
yes,
to
ma'am,
this point, no one has even mentioned us.
Ma'am?
So we don't exist.
ma'am.
What?
We have meetings at the planning board specifically for that application. Okay,
Next Wednesday.
next, ma'am. Ma'am, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to listen for a second, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, that was part of the third round. We are in the fourth round of fair share housing. The goal is that we hear information and comment based on what was proffered by Ms. Gruel this evening. If you want to talk about something previous, it's not helping us with this part of the information. If you want to talk specifically about if you want to talk specifically about an application before the if you want to talk if you want to talk specifically about an application before the planning board, that's next Wednesday. Okay? Which is fine. But right, in the third round, we're trying to be fair to all parties in the third round. So the people of the township are interested in what's going to happen in the fourth round. That's what this meeting is about, and that's why Susan Group presented this. Okay, ma'am, if you want to spend another minute, you can say it. It is not. No, I'm letting you say you have another minute, but it's not part of. Go right ahead.
Okay, we're not allowed to say West Essex Highlands, right?
You can say whatever you want for another minute. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I'll start again. Before you reach a decision, I would appreciate it if you would consider the following. The residents of the West Essex Highlands were never afforded the opportunity to vote against the proposed development, in spite of the fact that each West Essex Highland resident owns a percentage of Warner Road. In 2020, during COVID, an agreement was reached without any genuine input from the West Essex Highland residents. Instead, we were told that this was, and I quote, a done deal, so much for the democratic process. Should this project proceed, the West Essex Highland residents will have to endure the catastrophic effects of flooding, soil contamination, rock slides, deforestation, traffic congestion, and since there is only one ingress and egress, fire and other emergency threats. The planning board's primary responsibility and obligation is to ensure the safety and welfare of the residents of West Orange. The devastating effects that this development will have on the West Essex Highlands have been duly noted and recorded, and as such, if a disaster should occur, the Township of West Orange should be held responsible for any and all remediation. Finally, the Township of West Orange has a moral obligation to be a good steward to our neighbors, the townships of Essex Fells, Verona, and Roseland. Through no fault of their own, they will have to endure the disastrous effects of flooding, soil contamination, and traffic congestion. When making your decision, I hereby request that you consider the negative ramifications that the proposed development will have on the lives of so many. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Anna Kirschblum, 71 Woodland Avenue. So I'm here to thank the council for their support for Daughters of Israel and to continue to encourage that support. I am talking from 3 generations that live in West Orange. My 90-year-old mother, myself, and my daughter and her family. My mother is at Daughters of Israel. Prior to that, my mother, who has dementia, lived in her apartment in West Orange, and then moved in with me for 2 years, and after that, moved into Daughters of Israel, where she is receiving excellent, excellent care. Daughters is a dated facility. I worked there 20 years ago. The place looks exactly the same. Okay, it definitely needs an update. From the vantage point of,
Excuse me, ma'am,
yes,
Ladies and gentlemen in the back, please give the same respect that you're asking for yourselves. Thank you very much. Go right ahead, ma'am.
thank you. Okay. From the vantage point of having 3 generations here in West Orange, it makes me wonder, what will my aging be like? Will I be able to age in West Orange? My mother has been able to age in West Orange because of a facility like Daughters of Israel. And just addressing the note about the cynicism of the pay, what's being proposed is a continuum of care where there will still be a nursing home and those who are eligible can be on Medicaid, as is my mother. So I greatly appreciate that. I did, in fact, look at other facilities when looking for a place for her, and I was greeted by salespeople who could have sold me a car, for their interest in what was going on with my mother. I am able to visit my mother often because it's 5 minutes away and check on her. My grandchildren, my daughter, her great-grandchildren can come because that facility exists here. And I hope that when my time comes, that I will be able to age gracefully as well, and that my daughter and her children will be able to visit me. So thank you for your support, and I hope you continue.
Thank you very much. Come right up, sir. State your name and
Good evening,
address for the
members of the
record.
planning board. My name is Sean McGowan, and I'm part of the law firm of Greenbaum, Rose, Smith and Davis. Tonight, I'm representing AMS Acquisitions, the contract purchaser of the Mayfair Farms property located at 481 Eagle Rock Ave. The owner of Mayfair Farms is also here tonight and supports what we are going to say. Myself and my client's planner, Phil Abramson, who's going to speak after me, wanted to take a few minutes to provide our thoughts and comments on the proposed housing element and fair share plan before you. As an attorney for a developer, we acknowledge the comments of many of the residents tonight. However, these comments and concerns do not change the fact that the board must meet its obligations set forth in the state to provide affordable housing to the residents in the state who need it. Nor does it shield the municipality from the builder's remedies lawsuits that the town is facing. With that said, I want to provide some high-level information on the Mayfair Farm site and how it can help the township meet its affordable housing obligations. As you know, the Mayfair Farms property was included as a site for prospective affordable housing in the township's 3rd round plan and is again in the draft 4th round plan before you tonight. However, the zoning in place at the site, which was adopted pursuant to the township's 3rd round obligations and the density provided for in the proposed 4th round plan, is insufficient to create a viable plan for the construction of an inclusionary development at the site. The proposed density of only 16 acres is insufficient to create an economically viable development project, especially since a pilot is not contemplated for this project at this time. Instead, my client has proposed a realistic concept proposal to the township, which has been vetted by the county engineer and planner, proposing 463 units, 93 of which would be affordable units. Since this is the redevelopment of a previously developed property, this would also provide bonus credits to the township, thereby giving the township credit for approximately 123 affordable units, almost 20% of the 660 units of unmet. This is an 11.1 acre site with sewer and water connections next to the large Whole Foods and soon to be Target shopping center. It has 150-foot setbacks to the nearest residential neighborhood. This site is realistic for the development, viable, and makes good planning sense, as Phil Abramson will tell you momentarily. Additionally, we believe the township's proposed density for the Mayfair Farms site of only 16 units per acre is also doing a disservice to the township. Considering the liability and exposure that the township has in failing to file its fair share plan before the June 30th deadline, the township should be ensuring that it includes in its plan proposed sites that have a realistic chance of development. It should ensure that it allows the maximum number of affordable units on these viable sites, subject to good planning principles. Therefore, considering the fact that this site can and will be developed if enough density is permitted to make it economically feasible, the Mayfair Farms site also provides the township with a solution to the issues that arise due to its failure to file its plan by the June 30th deadline. With that said, Phil Abramson will say a few words.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening, board members. I was asked to look at your plan. I was asked to look
Give
at,
the name.
I'm sorry, my name is Phil Abramson. I'm representing the firm Topology regarding the Mayfair Farm site. Oh. Hopefully this is better. Okay, we're gonna start the clock. So I was asked to look at your plan and I was asked to look at our plan and give some commentary.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, we're all trying to hear. Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity to share a few planning thoughts. I come to you as a planner who have helped many towns across the state of New Jersey address their fourth round housing need. In fact, 12 plans in this fourth round. As you know, this township is facing a builder's remedy litigation, and the plan that you're going to adopt is going to face intense scrutiny by the courts, most likely. Under the Fair Housing Act, challengers, which we are generally prohibited from arguing our site's better than the sites that are in your plan or our plan's better than yours, except for plans that were included in the third round. It is permissible to do that. And so I'm going to sit here and tell you why we think that Mayfair Farms represents a stronger option for West Orange than the sites that were included in your plan. First, this is an acknowledged site. It is already zoned for affordable housing, and it's recognized as suitable by this municipality. Second is scale, that this proposal could provide up to 123 affordable credits once bonuses are applied. Third, smart planning. We're right next to West Orange Plaza. There's a Whole Foods, CVS, Target, soon to be Trader Joe's. This is a lot of entry-level jobs for people that can basically walk there in the affordable units. We are served by New Jersey Transit's number 71 bus, and we're critically buffered by 150 feet of woodland to the nearest single-family home. We have met with the county engineer and the county planner. They've reviewed this being a county road and have expressed no significant concerns about the level of development. Now, I want to turn my attention to the draft plan and where I think it leaves West Orange exposed. So you heard Ms. Gruhl talk about the third round sites and the sites that will remain in as part of your unmet need. When you peel the layer back, some of those sites are West Orange Plaza, 100 units, Rock Spring Golf Course, a Green Acres protected site now, and West Essex Highlands, which has been in over 20 planning board meetings, as you well know, and will probably face litigation. Altogether, that's 400 units in that third round that are suspect and that will be challenged. When you turn your attention to the fourth round sites, we believe that up to 70% of the credits in the seven of the sites that are likely to be redeveloped are highly speculative. You have those municipally sponsored 100% affordable sites with no real financing plan. You have rezoning behind properties on Pleasant Valley Way in people's backyards, essentially, with no real drawings or how those sites would even work as development sites. So I don't think that this current draft doesn't just raise questions. It creates legal and fiscal and community risks. The Mayfair Farms project is real. It can address up to 90% of the township's affordable obligation in a single project. And unlike some of these speculative rezonings, it can withstand legal scrutiny. I've looked at a lot of the objections that have come forward. We're probably 30 or 40 of them. We know what people are going to say. We know how fair share housing is going to challenge you. This plan is vulnerable to those types of challenges. You should understand that before you vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Come right up, sir.
Does someone have a phone on over here? It's a cricket. Light it up.
Manage that.
I'm not sure how I'm gonna follow a cricket, but I'll try. First of all, my name is Sept, 17 Howell Drive. I just want to thank Ms. Gruhl for your really good presentation and gaining some understanding of affordable housing. So the education was important, but I think we're a little too late for that education. June 30th, 2025, we in September, we missed the deadline. What is going on? What's going on is the headlines in our news. Mayor and town council at odds over affordable housing. Council responds with facts. Mayor's affordable housing, arguing back and forth. Let's see how we got here. The problem is we have other places to talk about this. Initially, we knew this was coming. It's not a surprise. I was very surprised that we have a different planner tonight than the planner that we originally hired, which was a different group who knows our town. I'm not sure who knows our town, who doesn't know our town, who's walked our properties, who doesn't, who knows our residents. What the heck is going on here? I don't understand it. And I think that's why we have all these comments. We've asked for a town planner, somebody who can stay focused on this 100%. And not have all this back and forth. We have enough other things to deal with in the town. We have an economic development council where they shared this plan. We have a downtown alliance. We weren't shared the plan. I sit on the board. This is the first time I'm seeing it when it was posted on Facebook saying here, and the map is hard to find. This is a reactors to developers plan. I don't know who owns these properties. I don't know why they were selected. Mayfair Farms, okay, it's going to be built eventually, but we don't need another lawsuit, and we definitely don't need to be running up lawyer bills. This is crazy. We own property. West Orange has purchased property in the past. Let's look at Ashland Avenue and Lakeside, toward Park Avenue behind the Edison Lofts. Oh, wait, we're getting a movie studio. I don't know when that's coming. Let's build some affordable housing. Oh, wait, that's contaminated. Didn't we know that when we purchased it? We can't build there. What is going on? If we don't gain control of this, we are at the 12th hour. You're gonna have to put this through because otherwise we are going to get sued. You are up against the wall. You have hard choices. They are challenging. I respect that, but this is ridiculous, craziness. Why, if the town is purchasing properties, we're not using them? There's no thought out process. Everyone here is frustrated and confused, not with the microphones, but because we're not arriving together as a town. Everyone says they're for West Orange, but there seems to be, oh wait, we were supposed to get a museum. I'm sorry, that was supposed to happen too. That didn't happen, but Mayfair Farms is, I don't know what's happening there now. Maybe smokers, but that's not happening either. So we need a good, consistent plan that will protect our schools, our infrastructure. Pleasant Valley Way, those are neighborhoods. It's not meant for all these buildings. Not sure what's going to happen. It's in your court. You are appointed to the board. I thank you for your time, for your efforts, and I know you will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Give the lady respect, please. Go right ahead, ma'am.
I understand that overdevelopment.
Ma'am, could you state your name and address for the record, please?
46 Parish Drive. I understand that overdevelopment of Pleasant Valley Way is a significant issue, and I will not diminish that concern. However, I would like to separate out the development of the Daughters of Israel sites from the others along the Pleasant Valley Way corridor, rather than lumping them all together. A Daughters of Israel expansion will have limited adverse consequences on traffic, and the residents are elderly and therefore not students in our West Orange schools. I understand the importance of a quality skilled nursing facility. My mother-in-law, and many parents of my friends have been short-term rehab patients and long-term residents. We chose Daughters of Israel as it has a stellar reputation for good medical care, excellent rehabilitation, and for compassion and love. My family and I were able to visit our mothers when we wanted. If they needed something, we could bring it over to them. My children and my grandchildren were able to visit our loved ones, an additional tremendous dose of love contributing to their determination to work hard with the assistance of the tremendous staff. Physical therapists, doctors, nurses, occupational therapists to improve and walk again. Make no mistake, not all skilled nursing facilities are alike. Let's help Daughters of Miriam maintain their place in the community and provide unmatched care. Permitting Daughters to renovate and expand through their housing plan will benefit our West Orange residents and our West Orange community and ourselves.
Thank you very much. So might I say your name for the record, your address, sir?
Sure.
You, sir.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Panullo. Live within 200 feet of the notice area in Essex Fells, Essex Highlands. Most of you here know me. As rules, pleasure to meet you, and gravitas precedes you. I'm here to talk with you. So.
Mr. Panula, you have to speak up.
Microphone?
Yeah, people in the back are
Yep.
waving.
Yep. So over the weekend, I'm the president of We Care NJ, the objector at the West Essex Highlands. We are on 20 meetings now. Coming up next week, we'll be here probably through the end of the year. There's more to do. Over the weekend, our planner submitted a letter and a report Bill Potter sent to you. Everyone here on the planning board already had a copy of that memo. And I'm here to do a few things tonight. One is to be sure that you acknowledge the receipt of that document and choose to investigate the facts presented there. And I'll come up with a conclusion at the end, but I'd like it to be clear now that in 2017, you made a point about the vacant land adjustment, and that the town master plan, so you know, in 2010 designated the site we're here arguing about for 120 acres at the headwaters of the Canoe Brook and the last unprotected core forest in the county, was actually the subject of a DEP Green Acres application in 2010, after the town master plan had already designated it to be preserved. In 2017, whether the vacant land adjustment adapted for that or not, I can't tell you. I don't think so. But in 2019, the same planner that wrote the 2010 plan actually wrote a different plan to support this application. We'll get into that separately, but this site did not then meet the eligibility criteria. It was not available, approvable, developable, or suitable. It's the encumbrance that was described by one of the condo owners is actually a problem with an easement, which is the only means of ingress and egress to the site. I don't know if you know that. We think you should. There are prior settlement agreements with private property owners, which will be disputed maybe, but there was an approval in 1980 and 83 for the development on the other side of the ridge, because the same developers developed all sides of this ridge except Essex Fells since 1980. That planned development had certain deed restrictions on a lot, which is now sitting on, among other things, a 15% or greater slope. There's testimony here, mid six figures of expert work. We're going to provide it to you. You'll be getting some of that starting tomorrow. I don't think your role is over here yet. So tonight, I think the town's in a tough spot. I think the builder's remedies and the exposure for the plan, I would not want to have to be anybody sitting on anywhere here to get this done, but the plans need to move along. I would simply ask that you recognize that there are cost generative factors here. There's blasting of a mountain, there's trees to take down, there's no water, no sewer here. There's only one way in and out. And I would ask that the 100 units that were supposed to be allocated here be included in a provisional round 3 carryover pending the outcome of the current site plan application, which is going to be appealed by whoever loses. And I would just let you all know that it's very possible that this site becomes the precedent-setting problem and resolution to environmental priority, public safety versus affordable. Even Mount Laurel 2 says you can't just put it anywhere. This is the worst case example of what to do. And I'm sure it's going to be a battle, but I'd like you to know about that. And we'll be providing you more.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Go right ahead, sir. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is David Silverstein. I do not reside in West Orange. I live in Chatham, 48 Rolling Hill Drive. I have family at the Daughters of Israel, and I have also been a member of its board for about 16 years. So with that said, I did not plan on coming up tonight, but I felt the need. I want to thank you for including us as a CCRC on your plan. Daughters is extremely dear to me. I haven't spent 16 years of my life putting the energy and time in that I have. If we were about greed or profit or simply putting money in our pockets, we are volunteers. We don't make a penny. Every dollar Daughters of Israel makes goes to caring for its residents. But unfortunately, the cost of caring for our residents has skyrocketed. Medicaid doesn't cover half of what it costs to care for these residents. We work tirelessly through donations and fundraising to make up the money to care for the frailest people in our community. And not only the frailest, these Medicaid patients are the most economically challenged people in our community. They literally have nothing at this point. That's why they're on Medicaid. And, you know, not everybody gets to retire with millions of dollars in the bank. Some people, really hardworking people, they could be teachers, they can be livery drivers, they could be store owners, they could be, name it. With the cost of education and the amount of money that these people have spent in their lifetime, some people simply can't afford to have millions of dollars in the bank. And we have worked so hard to save this facility. I have been working with my board to save this facility for years. Not only is it outdated, the geography doesn't serve the needs and expectations of people today. The services people expect, we can't provide in the geography that we have. We are a 302 bed facility. We are now down to 100 beds because we can't repair the units that we have. It's economically not feasible. And if we were to, the geography and the makeup of the rooms, people won't want them. People today have different expectations, and we are working so hard to get there. So when I hear tonight someone mention that we are about greed and profit, it breaks my heart, because that is certainly not what we're here for. And the other services and the assisted living and the other types of amenities on campus we're doing is all going to help those who can't care for themselves. And if not, it will go back to the community. So I want to thank you for the time. I want to thank you for giving me a couple seconds to speak.
Thank
And
you,
I hope
sir.
that you approve the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come right up, man.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to take this opportunity to remind those in the Zoom audience who have their hand raised that we are not taking public comment from the Zoom audience,
Thank you.
only to those live here in council chambers.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you and pardon the interruption.
Go right ahead, ma'am. State your name and address, please.
Maria De Palma, 67 Lapis Circle.
Thank you. Go right ahead, ma'am.
I've been living in the Highlands now for 32 years. Over the past 3 years, there has been a considerable amount of traffic that has infiltrated Eagle Rock Avenue, Pleasant Valley Way, Verona, West Orange, Essex Bell.
Bless you.
God bless you. No matter where you go, the time of the day, you're always in traffic. This is before any developments are starting. School time is a disaster. You have to leave like 20 minutes before to pick up my child, and it's a 2-minute drive. I cannot get out of my complex without 7 to 9 cars in front of me. That's just at any given time. In the morning for school, forget it. Everybody's leaving for work, for school, for whatever, but it's always that time. So I can't imagine a development in the back and everybody's leaving around the same time to bring their kids to school, go to work, to get out of there. You would need a half an hour, maybe more. The owners of the Mayfair Farms have made a mint off of West Orange. They turned the iconic Powell's Cabin into a CVS, and now he wants to turn Mayfair Farms into 463 high-density housing units. Not because he has to, but because he is greedy. As he's here tonight with 2 lawyers in tow, threatening us after all we've supported his businesses for 40 years plus. On my phone, I have, if you're interested in seeing, me trying to get out of my complex to make a turn down onto Pleasant Valley Way. It took me 5 lights. That was at 4:30. It wasn't even traffic hour. You can't get in or out at any given time with all the construction that's going on Eagle Rock Avenue. When we leave here tonight, it'll take me half an hour to get home. There's so many detours. You have to go this way onto Bloom, or you can't go this way. How would that be if there were all those units put in there? Nobody would get home till midnight. We're never given a time when they're going to do this. They just do it. It's construction and it's at our cost. And that's all I want to say, but I would hope to
Thank you
take
very much.
this into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come right up, sir, and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Philip Litwinoff. I live on Linden Avenue.
Shh. Go right ahead, Mr. Litwinoff.
I'm not going to subject or use my time to talk about any one specific project, as many other people did. I don't think that that's fair to this planning board. I don't think that was the purpose of this meeting tonight. The meeting, as I understood it, was to talk about the fair housing and the affordable housing program. And to talk about individuals, I think is disrespectful. I also think that this meeting should have been held elsewhere than the town council meeting room. The mayor had arranged a meeting at Wilshire Grand to first talk about the Highland development, and that at least had enough room to carry everyone. This has been really tough to hear and to participate. Now, I'm an accountant, so I look at the numbers. This plan, as I'm seeing it being presented, in terms of the locations, I think it is a biased plan. It unfairly puts the onus on the Pleasant Valley Way area. Now, I don't live in Pleasant Valley Way, so I'm not a participant in that. However, I think it's wrong to put all of this affordable housing into one section of the town. We're a large town and we own property in a lot of places. Hell, we bought a section of Crestmont Country Club to try to hold on to, to hold on to that. We have the Main Street, the Edison Complex. There's a lot of places that they could have spread this around. The other thing, and I said, as a preface says, I'm an accountant, is the affordability to the township of putting this in. I understand and I support affordable housing. It makes all the sense in the world. However, and I know that it was said that, when we started asking questions about how do we cover the cost, well, Trenton doesn't care. And I've heard that from a number of people. Well, they have to care. Somebody has to have some responsibility into this because our school system is saturated. We don't have the capacity to handle the development that's taken place in this town without considering the affordable housing. And looking at the statistics, and you're talking about how you calculate it, it's a 4-family member. Don't you think that that means that there's going to be kids coming into the school? How are we going, where are we going to teach her? How are we going to pay for it? Now, I haven't heard of any township that's gone bankrupt, but I have heard that when the fiscal crisis hits, it hits them in they're behind through the bond ratings and kicks up the cost of borrowing. We already have huge debt in this town. We're going to go further and it's going to be very expensive. And I fear that what's going to go on is that people will vacate this town. They will abandon it if it becomes that unaffordable. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Redwine. I live at 10 Cobain Terrace in West Orange. Thank you for having this hearing. I think it's about 6 or 7 months late, but here we are. You've heard plenty of reasons to send this plan back and to not approve it tonight. I hope that you will listen to them, and I hope that you will vote against it. I wanted to add just a few reasons why I oppose adoption of this plan. There hasn't been sufficient environmental review in the plan. It's been a rushed and risky process, despite the fact that we're quite late with it. Our town has an opportunity to conserve and monetize open space with Green Acres funding, which we did with the golf course. This plan takes some of the acreage that we currently own and could potentially monetize out of that opportunity. And I don't think we've even considered that. If we were to do that, we could pay down some of our municipal debt that people are often talking about and concerned about. I'm a member of the Environmental Commission in town, and I know that there has been zero consultation with the Environmental Commission. That is despite the fact that environmental commissions exist to advise on plans just like this one. And we heard about it when everyone else did on Facebook.
Wow.
My questions to you are also, have you consulted with the CFO to understand how this plan will impact the budget going forward? My suspicion is probably not, because you haven't asked us our environmental opinions, and we exist to do that. Have you consulted with the school board to plan for increased population? Other people have brought this up tonight. My suspicion is no. Have you consulted with residents who have expertise in this area? We've had at least one architect who's an expert in affordable housing come up and talk tonight. I know him personally, and I know he has never been consulted about anything in town. You have a huge population of people who are here to help because we live here. And yet we still do not consult with him and do not seek out their expertise to make processes just like this go more smoothly. I think that's unbelievable. I think that's just completely inexcusable and outrageous. Look, I think that you should send this back. I know we're already late, but let's send it back and get it right, or at least get it close to right. Right now, we are not even close to right. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of people come up and talk about Daughters of Israel. Does Daughters of Israel deserve our support? Absolutely it does. Does Daughters of Israel require approval of this plan in order to obtain that support? Absolutely not. Take those apart. Let's do this right. Let's not say we're going to go support Daughters of Israel, therefore we have to approve this plan. Let's not say we're already super late, we're going to be sued, we must approve this plan. This is a half-baked plan. This is half-baked. Other people have said that, words to those effects. And I'm asking you to vote no on this.
Thank you, Mr. Redwine. Come right up, sir. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Is it on?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Moshe Rudin. I live at 38 Woodland Avenue. I guess I'm very late to the party, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I feel like I do have something useful to add to the conversation, and that is impressions, but also kind of a suggestion or a perspective. I spent many years in Lincoln, Massachusetts. It's a small town near Concord, a historical town, and all around it, Lexington, Concord have been super developed, and open space is at a premium, and there's signs of sprawl. Lincoln seems to have been able to maintain itself as a I'm not going to say pristine, but because it's not a museum piece, but it's a town that clearly a collaborative and long-term plan has been developed and kept, of which all the stakeholders have a voice. And I think because of that, they have managed to maintain a character, a quality of life in the town that the other towns have not been able to do. And I'm concerned that West Orange has not. It, you know, the impression that one gets is, or that I've gotten, is that decisions are put off and put off and put off, argued, 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 and then we respond out of sense of crisis rather than consideration, rather than collaboration, a sense of deadlines, and always under the threat of being sued by somebody. I don't think that's a way that to govern a town, to govern a community, is the endless threat that if a person says this, person does that, that they're going to end up being sued. That's not. I don't think that's governance. That's coercion by from lawyers or something. I don't know, but I guess the point is that it just seems that rather than this is a planning board, and planning implies just that: careful planning, planning that's collaborative, planning that takes other people's different groups who are going to be affected as opinions and thoughts and insights into account. And by that, maybe we have a better chance of getting it right. But not if it's under the gun 11th hour a plan that appears and is going to be pushed through whether people whether legitimate concerns are raised or not. And it's, as I say, it doesn't seem that anyone's going to come out happy in this. So I'd like to invite us to think about, there are towns in America. We're not unique. There are towns in America that do it right. Let's look to them. Let's get some ideas, and let's collaborate together, not act out of a panicky fear of missed deadlines. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right up there, say your name.
Bob Sharonell, 9 Cadmus Court in the Highlands. I would like to propose a change of the West Essex Highlands Development Project to a different name, a big, beautiful forest project that should be left in place as is. And if you would give me a half an hour, maybe an hour, I could give you all the reasons, but you as the planning board, you've been hearing it for the last 12 months. I mean, the last 12 sessions, 14 sessions. I could reiterate it, but I'm not, because I'm not just here for the West Essex. I'm here for the whole town, and I understand the dramatic need for affordable housing. I'm going to give you an idea, and you'll probably say, maybe this guy's crazy, but listen carefully. In 2019, the West Orange Township purchased the Rock Spring Country Club for $11 million and change. Now we need affordable housing of 600 and some odd units. To do that, you have to build 3,000 units, because you get 20% of that. On the Rock Spring Country Club, with 130 acres up there, you could build, the town could do something and really build just the 600 affordable houses spread out over 130 acres that is basically level. It has sewer and water. No trees have to be removed. There are several roads in and out of, and you would only probably make a couple hundred families unhappy versus the 1,000 to 1,500 around the big, beautiful forest, versus probably 8,000 to 10,000 people along Pleasant Valley Way that would be unhappy. Think about it. That's all I'm asking you. And I only took 2 minutes of your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Council President.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Joe Krakowiak, Grandview Avenue. I'm also this year's president of the Township Council, but I'm a civilian here tonight. There's been very little for the governing body under the current law at this stage, although down the line we may be busy dealing with builders' remedy lawsuit settlements because the township didn't file its plan by the June 30th deadline, and zoning changes to make it easier for developers to get approvals through the affordable housing plan. To perhaps oversimplify, the affordable housing legal regimen is largely the state and courts trying to ensure that municipalities make their best efforts to provide affordable housing. Many laws and regulations and court guidance exist to try to ensure that and they change all the time and get deep in the weeds of the process. You've heard the riddle, how many angels can dance on the head of a pin? The affordable housing law and regulation in this state is New Jersey's answer. West Orange is an excellent place to live, and that's why we have residential developers trying to shoehorn their projects into our township, which has already been recognized by affordable housing as having very limited opportunities to build projects. The township government is also largely constrained in what it proposes in the plan to what projects developers want. We can't propose the plan virtually all of us want to propose. We have to deal with reality. But what I hope you take away from this meeting is that most, if not all, proposed developments stand on their own merits. So while there is some positive impact by getting named to the plan, it's almost always not going to be dispositive or ensure the development. Now, filing a builder's remedy lawsuit, as some of the lawyers and the planners who have come up here to talk about, that helps. Because as you've heard from our chairman, there have been 4 builder's remedy lawsuits, and it gives them an advantage in negotiating, in adding to their density, and thus the profitability of their project. And guess who bears the burden of that? You and me. But even if they are not named in our plan, these developments can move forward or not, regardless of the designation. The planning and zoning boards deal with the individual proposed developments. So I urge everyone to keep an eye on the agendas for these 2 autonomous bodies on the township website if you want to continue to make a difference in making West Orange more livable. I urge you to prioritize fighting for our township with more of your time, to attend meetings, learn the state and local land use law, and come to these application hearings where you have the right to ask questions, hopefully as informed as possible, and express your opinion. These application hearings are the important element in what this plan will mean when it meets reality. Now, we're all familiar with Pleasant Valley Way. It's busy with traffic, many cars exceeding the speed limit regularly and feeding many residences, with many houses of worship, many walkers, a park, a school. This draft plan proposes adding 221 units when the unmet need is 165. Of the 5 locations on Pleasant Valley Way, including the group home, they propose more than 70% of the total offered units and 94.5% of the actual unmet need. That's a huge concentration that we should avoid if at all possible. I urge the Affordable Housing Planner and the Planning Board to redouble efforts to find other areas of town to promote or offer for this plan. And I just want to follow up on my friend Rabbi Rudin's comment about coercion. This affordable housing legal regimen is the most coercive law I have ever seen in my life from the perspective of a municipality. It takes away virtually every tool that we have to manage development and planning in our town. And it takes it away and says, as many people have said, we don't give a damn. And that's exactly what we're facing now. And if we deal with that, we can still get a lot farther in what we want, but it's not going to be done at this hearing, putting together a plan. It's going to be done in the trenches to fight these projects and either reduce them or prevent them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Okay, come right up, so state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Arthur Schechtner. I live at 20 Kimmel Court in West Orange. And I know a little bit about the daughters because in a few months, I'll be 95 years old. And I was the chairman of the board of the daughters when we moved up here about 40 years ago. And I didn't come to talk, and I don't have any notes, but I want to reiterate a couple of things. Number one, what we sell up there is dignity. People want to age in place. People don't want to go to Miami or Scottsdale or wherever it is. And even if they wanted to go there, their children want them close by. To have an elderly parent living 2,000 miles away is really a highly unpleasant experience. And so we are interested in keeping and aging in place and keeping the people in place. Number two, although Daughters of Israel is clearly a Jewish organization, we have no religious barriers, and we take care of all people in every religion without regard to whatever they choose to worship. And number three, we don't want any more land. We're not asking for another acre. We are going to do it all in that space. Number four, nobody in our place goes to school. We don't add to the school census at all. And finally, very few of them drive. So really, what we want to do is modernize our facility, or we're going to have to sell it or shut it down because people aren't coming to nursing homes anymore. That's the hard fact of it. And if you're in a nursing home business, you better go out and find another one. With all sorts of insurance and so forth, aging in place can easily be done. So what we're asking you to do is to allow us to continue to give our clients dignity in the town of West Orange. I worked in this project for well over 50 years, and I've never been paid a dime. So greed is not one of my virtues or lack thereof. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sept. Go right ahead, sir.
Good evening, Lawrence Cohen, Lincoln Avenue, Pleasantdale. I'd like to thank Mrs. Gruhl for a very nice presentation. This is very complex stuff. And when I looked at it, when I read the 457 pages, it struck me that the developers were getting 15%, 20% affordable housing. The rest was market rate. And that created a sprawl. Then I thought, you know, the best way to go would be to do 100% affordable housing, but make it a great building. I would call it a premier, no profit high rise, make it a high rise, maybe have it a zoning exception for it. And I think it could be near the train station in Orange, in the Valley area, as the architect who spoke in the beginning said. I mean, we could really revitalize downtown West Orange by having these high rise or maybe two high rise, but make it have all solar, have it a special roof have great windows, great aeration, make it something state of the art. Maybe try to solicit a great builder. You know, there's the builders that come to mind would be Kushner and Durst. These people have done great environmental buildings in this New York metropolitan area. I'm just talking about builders that are really different, developers different than the ones we've been using. Where the people who go there would be very proud to live there, very happy. And these are not, when we talk about affordable housing, it's when you look at the fine print, it's 40,000, 60,000, 80,000. People are still making money, having jobs. These are working class people. So they're gonna be happy there. They're getting a break. They'll save for their college funds for the kids or something, you know. These are not people who are gonna trash it. This is not Section 8. And I think that's a great idea to lessen the pressure on the Pleasant Valley roads, Pleasant Valley Way, and these are choke holds on West Orange, Pleasant Valley Way, Prospect Avenue, Eagle Rock. These roads are extremely congested during rush hour periods. I spoke with a neighbor and she said she can hardly get to work now going out to Westfield just with all the traffic going out from Pleasant Valley Way on south. And also, can we prioritize West Orange residents who want to live in these units? This is important because many people can't afford to buy a house in West Orange. So the children of parents living here, they could be moving into these units. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'm going to spell it Sejal, and the last name is Jhaveri. Gajarawala. Kinzel Lane in the Grant. I'm probably not going to say anything new to what's happened tonight, but I feel remiss if I didn't come up. And so like many of my other neighbors before me, definitely not in opposition of anything related to affordable housing, which we know is a critical need, but definitely in opposition to this specific plan in these specific locations, which poses a clear threat to the quality of life, safety, and the sustainability of our West Orange community that I've been a part of for the past 30 years. Pleasant Valley Way and Eagle Rock Avenue is already at its breaking point. Every resident who lives near it or uses it daily knows this. It is a heavily burdened corridor, and it makes proximity to Route 280, and its proximity to Route 280 makes it a hot spot for traffic congestion and will become even more once Target and Trader Joe's opens up. Emergency vehicles, commuters, school buses, and families all share this road, and too often we see it paralyzed by traffic just yards away from homes, schools, and places. Like yesterday's accident between exit 6 and 7 took me 20 minutes to get from my place to 280 just to make that happen. Why would we choose to add hundreds of new residents and vehicles to roads that are already overloaded? How does that serve the community or even the people who would live in these developments? What about our schools? Our classrooms are already stretched thin. Teachers are working overtime to meet the needs of our growing class sizes. We do not have the infrastructure in place to support a sudden influx of students without compromising the quality of education that West Orange has worked so hard to build and maintain. Yes, we want to be an inclusive town. We want to meet our housing obligations. But responsible planning means considering the total impact on traffic, on education, and safety. This plan in these locations just simply doesn't meet that standard. I urge the board to reconsider this proposal, not from a place of exclusion, but from a place of responsibility, foresight, and care for all the residents, current and future. There are better locations. There are better ways. Let's work together to find them and look at some of the suggestions that have been made so far this evening. I do have 2 questions on the proposal shared this evening. Of those affordable housing units approved for round 3 and now projected for round 4, what is the distribution across very low income, and moderate units? I don't think we've ever seen that. And knowing that some of the units are still not filled, it'd be good to have an understanding of that across town. And can we also understand how many total units, affordable and market rate units, will be proposed and approved to achieve the affordable housing quota? How many were built in round 3 that led to the 954 affordable units? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right up.
Jennifer Charette, Jennifer Charette, Howell Drive, West Orange. The West Essex Highlands project was included in the 3rd round, which I understand is being relied on for this 4th round. My perspective, many mistakes were made in including the West Essex Highlands in that 3rd round, which I would hope the town will learn from for all future plans are developed. First, no notice was given to residents at the time that the town council approved that initial settlement. At least no notice was given to anyone on Howell Drive. No direct notice was given to anyone on Howell Drive in July of 2020, when that settlement was approved by some court. No notice was given to me personally, living on Howell Drive, when the planning board approved the project and for the rezoning in October of 2020. That project also attempted to circumvent environmental regulations, which I note and others have noted will be challenged. The town needs to, I think, with all these projects, take a breath. I completely understand that there are fair share housing obligations and those need to be met in some capacity. But we need to, instead of rushing to decisions here, recognize that Mount Laurel was not designed to override environmental laws, steep slopes, tree ordinances, and the like. And it should make sure that all residents have an opportunity to be heard. And I'm glad that we have as many people we have in this room. I think there are probably many more who are not aware of this. If you're not on Facebook and plugged in now, you wouldn't know. So I urge the planning board to consider making sure that before anything is approved, notices go out to everyone within any area of some proposed development. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Spoke before, but I left off one thought. Is it possible to bifurcate the daughter's application out and consider it separately, or is this going to be done all at one big, beautiful bill? Pardon me, sir.
Mr. Scheckler, it's all going to be under one bill.
Sorry?
It's going to be under one bill, one application.
Okay, because we are clearly different.
Unless the
We're
applicant
not-
decides
we're
to
not
make
buying
their own
anything, we're
application.
not selling anything. We're not making any money. We're not. increasing-
Thank you, Mr. Scheckler.
Thank you.
Okay, come right up and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Maureen Robinson, 200 Mount Pleasant Avenue, West Orange. Tonight, for me, I just came basically to listen and to learn. In about 3 weeks, I'll be 84 years old. Nobody has offered me any affordable housing. However, I do support that. My question becomes, based on the analysis that I've made from listening to everybody tonight, my question becomes, what do you want your community to become? Do you want it to stay suburban or urban? What is the outcome of these vast buildings that's going to be built here in West Orange? Now, I live up in the mountains and it's very peaceful up there. I put in 54 years in education, teaching, adjunct professor, you name it, okay? So when I moved away from that area, I came up here basically because my time is behind me. So I came up here for peace and harmony. So my question becomes, how did you get to this position or this point where we're at the 11th hour for making a decision that's going to affect what appears to be an oversight of a lot of your residents in this community? They have been seemingly excluded. I'm not worried about me, okay? But I'm just kind of confused. And who appoints the planning board? I'm not into that. I'm city council, but who appoints the mayor? And you have to remember, somebody voted somebody in. So if you don't like an administration or what's going on in your administration, I think next year is the election year.
Thank you very much.
Hi,
Hi.
good evening. My name is Mel Julie Valdez, 16 Elm Street. So I believe that affordable housing is very important and it's something that is needed here in West Orange and throughout New Jersey. But I feel like the way that this is being implemented is being rushed and it's not thinking about the West Orange residents, and there has been no community input. The plan that was, the settlement that was approved in 2020, I don't have to remind everybody, that was in April and June of the pandemic. We were all, many of us, mourning relatives that were either sick or passed away with COVID, while the council was over here making these plans without notice, without input. And I just think that's unfair. And now it's 2025, 5 years, 5 years forward, and we're still rushing things. There isn't any community input, and that's just wrong. To put all these units just on the area that's being proposed, it's going to create traffic. It's going to, already our schools are overcrowded. Do we have money to build another school? Do we have the infrastructure for the police, for firemen? There's already traffic issues now, and it's just gonna make things worse. I just feel like we're prioritizing the developers. The developers are rich. They do not care about us. And really, we should be working on making sure that we are working with developers that are using the Affordable Housing Trust. I know that money was just restored into that trust. So there is money available for them to do specialized units, which could be, I just saw a project that was for veterans. There's projects that are for communities who are over 55. Why are we not thinking more creatively and seeking out, doing, I don't know if requests for proposals or just looking casting a wider net, because I know in New Jersey, there are other people, other communities that have different units. It's not all about these luxury apartments, and then they stick in the affordable units, which are not even comparable to those luxury units. And they also, if we're talking about affordability and we're talking about accessibility, those units, the affordable units, are not comparable to the luxury units, and they might not even have access to the amenities. So you're basically creating unequal, like in a community, it's structured, and it just makes no sense. So I just feel like you all have the power, and we also have the power to come to these meetings and start speaking up, and also voting. There's an election coming up in November and then next year, and we really need to start voting in the people that we want to see, and who will make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Charles Fiskus, 78 Davy. On the affordable care, first off, you're talking about this whole thing about all these different projects are being voted in as one bill. Why? That's a question.
Policy.
Ms. Gruhl?
Oh.
You're up.
Trying to ask questions. Yeah, it's okay.
Past of that. I guess I'll use this for now.
That's fine.
It's a plan. It's not supposed to be piecemeal. It's a plan to address the entire obligation. We have a number, and that's the way that
Okay.
it's supposed to be.
Second question.
Should I sit down or stand?
Stand up.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. So the other thing about affordable care, or not affordable care, but this affordable housing is public transportation taken in consideration?
To a point. To a point. Yes, but as long as there is accessibility, yes, but not as the critical component.
So if it's not accessible, easily accessible, how far would be considered accessible?
No, it's
10-minute
not.
walk to get to public
Oh,
transportation?
no, that's just one aspect of it. It's
Okay.
accessibility. When I say that, I mean to highways, to roadways, as much as
But we're
to,
talking public transportation.
no, then there is nothing
Oh,
to indicate that.
and that should be considered because people who are maybe need assistance may not have a car, and West Orange is almost car dependent.
I understand what you're saying.
All right. So I think that should be consideration.
But that's not what the rules say. That's not what the criteria say. And so that's what we were utilizing. But I don't disagree with you,
Right.
okay?
So-
There's one thing in terms of using rules, regulations, and what has to be done. There's another as to a lot of the things that were said tonight, I absolutely agree with you on.
Yeah.
But there are also rules and regulations, and affordable housing is a constitutional obligation. And that is the criteria, that is a compelling piece to why every municipality has to have an affordable housing plan. It
Right.
is a constitutional obligation.
Okay. That answered my question.
Thank you very much. And at that time, we're going to close all public comment and thank everybody for listening. And then we're going to have the board just deliberate, and we're going to take a 10-minute break right now.
Hello. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
are back live.
Back on the record. Okay, we're gonna go around the board and everybody gets 3 minutes. Do you have any questions or statements that you'd like to add to the record about the presentation? Mayor McCartney.
So
No, go ahead, go right ahead, Mayor
okay.
McCartney.
Well, I wanted to thank Susan Gruhl and Megan Adams for this presentation and everyone else that came out this evening. When we talk about, this is a plan, and that's how we started the meeting, that this is just a plan. It seemed to me, listening to everyone speaking, that they were adopting a plan. These are not applications. This is a plan. This is a general plan trying to meet our constitutional obligation, which the township has always done, as you saw, since 1993. So we have always met our obligations. When talk about if you have a voice, yes, when the planning board meets, and all of these, my thoughts are scattered because there's so many comments, and it seems to be concentrated on Pleasant Valley Way. But there are privately owned parcels on Pleasant Valley Way. We didn't make these up. We didn't pick them out of a hat. They're already there. So if any of them come before the planning board, everyone has a voice to come and listen to those applications. This is just, I wanted that to be clear, that just because we approve the plan doesn't mean we are approving every one of these applications, because every one of these applications still has to come before the planning board to comply with all of our ordinances. So what happened this evening was just a plan. So I just wanted that to be clear. It's not an approval of each application.
Thank you, Mayor
Thank you,
McCartney. Ms.
Chair.
Kapfer.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you to everyone who came out. It was exciting for me to see how many people are really, really passionate about this community and really care about land use. So that's yeah, something new. So definitely excited to see that. And thank you, Susan, for presenting tonight. One of the things that was spoken about several times was concerns about Pleasant Valley Way. I think actually my first interaction with the planning board was as a parent of children who were trying to get to school, and we had concerns about walking on Pleasant Valley Way. And was grateful for that opportunity to use my voice as a citizen to talk about my concerns. And so, I do have some significant concerns about the development along Pleasant Valley Way. And what that would mean for residents and, how that would impact traffic and safety and schools and all infrastructure and flooding, all the things that were shared tonight. I do feel burdened by this decision, as I imagine probably some of the other board members do as well. It feels like we're in a hard place right now, and I don't, like many of you shared, I don't exactly know how we got here, and I feel personally responsible. How did I not know more about this sooner? But instead of pointing fingers, just wondering it is what it is. How can we do better, and how can we move forward tonight? And so I do want to think about, what are the things, what are the implications? One of the questions I have is, what are the implications of whether we vote yes or no tonight? If we decide not to pass it tonight, what does that mean? Are we opening ourselves up to several more lawsuits? Wondering if it's possible. It sounds like, I think the answer to this is no, but could we pass it tonight with some updates to the specific sites that were mentioned? I have concerns about a couple in particular. And yeah, I think I just hope that this could be used as a time for us to think about opportunity that someone spoke about earlier tonight. We could view this as an opportunity to do something to revitalize sections of town, or, to develop in a responsible way. How can we do more of the responsible planning instead of being in a position where we're reacting? Those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Ms. Kapfer. Vice Chairman Garino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Gruhl, for your presentation tonight. Thank you for the members of the West Orange community for being here tonight. Your voices are very important. And it's good that you come out and voice your opinions, your emotions and everything else. And it's not good to keep them inside, because if you don't mention them and say them and let us feel it, then we can't make the right decision sometimes. You know, we need your input and we thank you for it. Listening to some of the comments tonight kind of like shift me back and forth. You talk about the wonderful Washington Street teacher that got killed about 7 years ago, but that wasn't because of any development or anything on Pleasant Valley Way. The sad thing was she was rushing to a teacher's meeting and she crossed mid-block. She crossed against the line, and the sad thing was she was struck and killed. Had nothing to do with the traffic volume on Pleasant Valley Way. You know, we have to look at plans, look at requirements, and spread it over the entire. You can't just be micro. You got to look at the whole town and see how it impacts the whole town. And you look at it and you see, if we do this, we do that. If we do this, what do we get? People here were talking about, you know, more housing units, well, more kids. Well, somebody mentioned tonight about Rock Spring Country Club. Well, I was council president along with Councilman Joe Kukoviac and Mayor McCartney. We did the greatest thing. We bought Rock Spring Country Club and we saved 130 acres for fraternity, you know, and that was the greatest thing to do. But you can't build on Rock Spring Country Club, and you want to know why? Because every golf course is treated with arsenic, and it takes multiple years to remediate the arsenic before you can even think of building. But if you want to build there, you're going to have new schools. The original proposal at Rock Spring by a developer would have cost 2,000 units of housing at Rock Spring Country Club, 18 new roads, and right away, you'd have to build a new school. So sometimes you got to think. I know it's emotional. You have to think. Then you talk about, well, why don't you look at downtown Main Street? And it kind of gets to me when everybody says, well, why don't you look at downtown Main Street? You know, there is housing at downtown Main Street. And yes, the plans were to build residential down on Main Street. I know something went before the council. I think it was not approved. But you know what? The whole thing is too, when you look at development, you have to look at revenue development to offset the taxpayers. You can't just build houses, you can't just, but you got to build communities where it will generate revenues, offset your tax burden, and have good housing. So we want to look at our housing, look how it affects our communities. And yes, West Orange is a great community. People want to live here. And if you look in my neighborhood in Gregory, all the houses that turned over in the last 7 years are all New Yorkers. No offense against New Yorkers. My wife's a New Yorker. So it's like, but we have to look at this plan, and whether my other board members decide what they're going to say tonight, you really got to look at it and see what it's going to do as a complete for the entire township of West Orange, not just one section of the township. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Garino. Mr. Alpert. Sure.
Thank you. I wanted to start with a math question. If I understand right, of the 660 units that the state says we have to build, our realistic number is 0, but we still have to address 25% of that original number, which would be 165. But when you walked us through the numbers with the bonus credits, that came out to 297.
Bonus credits bonus credits, our understanding is that doesn't count until you get, you know, for the 165.
Okay, so without the bonus, I think it was
It's
221, 231, right? So
221.
I'm wondering, is that just to give us some cushion? Is it possible to maybe take some of the especially like 762 PVW, the one that's got so much wetlands in it, maybe the Northfield one with the rock slide? Is it possible to take some of those out, especially if we're able to find others?
I mean, that's your choice. Your calculation and your math is correct. The only thing that I would say to consider, okay, and I understand what your concern is whether there are potential developers on that site who may come and say, okay, well, that's nice, but we want to have a builder's remedy lawsuit against that. Now, I'm not suggesting that you make your decisions solely based on that by any means, but it's a consideration. Okay, that's all.
Gotcha.
You're correct. You have some flexibility there.
I do wish that we would see more, you know, and I know it's tough with what there's a developer for, I guess, and what there isn't, but I would like to see more redevelopment of existing sites, especially in the downtown, because, you know, we're constantly trying to find ways to get more people and new people, especially downtown, to help support our businesses and grow the corridor. And I think there are locations like the Rite Aid building and the CVS site where, you know, nothing green would have to be touched. With some zoning changes, perhaps we could go up instead of out. And, you know, there's also the township owned properties that, you know, I think like Mr. Greeno just mentioned, I think a previous iteration of the council had decided against doing anything with housing. Maybe, especially now seeing the contrast between what else the alternatives are, maybe there'd be more stomach, maybe because the town owns it, you could go either keeping it or just as leverage, maybe with a higher percentage of affordable units in a building if the town owned it.
We did try to include a couple of the affordable, 100% affordable. We don't have the level of detail that we need, but we do have the fact that it is owned by the township. So both 28 Babcock, it's getting late, and Fort Tompkins, we did include those, and those are township owned. And we did have, what we suggested was a preference for veterans housing or group homes. So for those, but that would be something that would be 100%, and 100% developer could come in. You can do an RFP, whatever, there are numbers that are out there. And they can get financing, but they normally in that instance, they want the land for $1. Okay, and that's what is normally what happens with 100% affordable. So that's why it's important to look at township-owned properties to be able to package the business or the financial deal so it works. So we did include those two. They're small parcels. We did look at some of the other ones. You know, your issue is you've got a fairly significant number. And so we were trying to address everything at once. There were a lot, as you can tell, and as you know, there were a lot of factors that we considered.
Do we own more at Ashland than the units that were in, I think, the second round for 44 units that haven't been built yet? Or was that everything that the township owns on Ashland?
That's
because
Ashland is. Yeah. Yes, I know.
I know part of that was part of the previous, the 2021 properties that we bought from Prism. And I'm not sure if that's all included in the 44 that were going to be built. I'm just wondering what else can be done there.
I think that was all included in for the third round, plan or prior round plan. It's under the other.
But with something like that hasn't been constructed yet, is it possible to work with the developer to increase the size of something like that and include that as part of the fourth round?
Sure. That can be. In concept.
Right.
That's I absolutely, there are a whole bunch of different ways of doing it, but that's the concept. I don't know whether in fact that is something that would work. I have not looked at that as an option.
I'd love to see it if it were possible. You know, I think just in general, you know, for me, more redevelopment and less development of currently vacant land would obviously be ideal, but you know, I don't know what's possible.
I would note though that we did, and we got a number of bonus credits because of this, is the reuse of sites that had already been used, that were already disturbed. So even though they're not in the quote downtown, a lot of the sites were had other uses on them before, commercial, and are now proposed in this plan to be redeveloped with either a mix of commercial or just residential. So they weren't what I would consider to be virgin sites as such.
Gotcha. Like the Wiltshire, I think, is an example of that.
Exactly.
I think that's one where, again, personally, you know, if there were more of an ability to retain the footprint of what's currently covered and not extend the coverage of the land, I think it's easier to see a way to that with a smaller scale project, maybe.
And that's what we were looking at, is using the disturbed area. And at the point in time, if those are considered and adopted, then with the ordinance, that would be a piece to that. Because I think that that is a very important consideration. And that was something we absolutely thought about.
And I think the only other thing I really have is there anything that we can do in an affordable housing plan to increase, to ask for, to try to create more ownership opportunities and fewer rental opportunities? I know we don't really have the land to build single family developments, although maybe there are some existing ones that could be extended with a few additional homes, but whether it's condos or even apartments for sale as opposed to rent, you would think creating generational wealth would be on the state's list of things to accomplish with
I
affordable
couldn't
housing.
agree with you more. And maybe, maybe, I'm just throwing this out, it wouldn't change what it would be done, but one of the 100% affordable could be one of the like habitat, which is and we've worked with them in many communities where those have worked, and they're the smaller sites, and they're great for ownership, exactly what you're saying. They're very difficult. Ownership is very difficult. It's fine for moderate.
Yep.
You get very low and it just doesn't
Yeah, that makes
work.
sense.
For a number of reasons.
Okay.
But no, your comment is well taken.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Alpin. Mr. Cardoza.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gruhl, for your presentation. I'd like to thank the public for their questions and comments, provided another lens to look at things through. My thoughts are also jumbled at this late hour, so I wrote some thoughts down and we'll see where I go from here. I think, what happens a lot when it comes to these planning board meetings is the public gets very tripped up on process because the rules for the planning board meetings are pretty restrictive in the way we evaluate things. There's a very specific flow. And I know the public needs to get things off of their chest. And, so I just want to apologize for any friction there when it comes to the public. I feel that some of what the frustration is that boils up here is frustration with the process, more so than any frustration with I want to say any particular folks. I'm not going to get stuck on this point. I'll just say that there were some very interesting ideas that I heard, but also I don't know whether the planning board is the appropriate body for a suggestion for something like collaborative forms of working groups, so to speak, between different township committees and bodies. I think that would be something for the town council to work through. Who could participate, what rules, each committee being governed by different rules established for different purposes, to what end. And even then, I would say that, likely something like the planning board couldn't participate. We would have to be observers. As a quasi judicial body, we're meant to behave as judges, hear all the facts from all parties, deliberate, come to a ruling, not comment on any ongoing or even past applications. Knowing that, our goal here is always, part of our goal here is always to maintain a clean record, and knowing that a lot of what we do here will and often is, even in real time, before a judge in a courtroom somewhere. So I just wanted to say that I hear and understand the public at all times, and I hope that it's understood that we're working for the benefit of town within a fairly tight stricture. I also heard the term 11th hour several times tonight, and to mix metaphors, I would say I believe, based on where we are in the year here, that some of our runway has been exhausted. But that said, I would like the opportunity to again, I said that hearing the public's comments and questions provided a new lens with which to look at things through. And so, we have a very detailed plan. We received a very educational presentation. The public brought some things to light that I would not have otherwise heard. And I would like the opportunity to revisit some of this, even watch the video, look at the transcript and just putting that out there. So.
Thank you, Mr. Cordova. Councilperson Scarborough.
Thank you. I want to thank you for your presentation, Susan. It was really nice, very thorough.
Thank
And
you.
to the residents, thank you for coming
Yeah,
out.
that's-
Oh, sorry. To the residents, I want to thank you for coming out because I think you are beginning to realize your voice matters. You have come up with some of the really best thoughts of the evening. For example, Mr. Jordan, our architect. I can't wait to meet him. I think he was right on when he said, we need to think about this as an opportunity. That opportunity is to develop our downtown that we have wanted to develop for years. We have been thinking about how we're going to do mixed use there. In fact, Council Person Rutherford and I, several years ago, met with the owner of CVS, and he had a plan for just that. For, retail on the bottom. We didn't particularly like that plan and that developer, but he wants to develop that property. And I think we need to speak with him and see, because that's a much more appropriate place. I would love to talk to him and look at some other downtown facilities and maybe that we own or that we don't.
He was discussed, there was contact with him. I don't disagree with what you're suggesting.
Yeah, I think
That-
it's really the ideal place because
But-
really our whole goal is develop our downtown, and we're not going to develop any businesses down there if we don't reroute the traffic patterns, if we don't get the amount of people down there who are going to buy the goods and services. And it looks like that modest income group is exactly what we would need to facilitate, the thriving downtown. The other thing was, I think Ms. Lefkowitz was right when we need to rework and modify a little bit. I think we've had so many really good suggestions from the public out there. I really think we heard over and over, aging in place. We all want to age in place. I am been a senior advocate for 2 decades now with Rosary Morelli. We all want to age in place, whether it's at Daughters of Israel, and that's a project that we have to make happen in a responsible way, or whether it be in housing that looks like the Jersey Shore. There was one site that looked like it could be the perfect spot for the clubhouse and the restaurant and the amenities. And maybe instead of millions of apartments, we could have nice townhouses, and build a nice senior community for the more moderate income. And the last thing, and I think the most important thing, is that I've come to learn in, my tenure as a council person that zoning laws are put in place for a very good reason, to protect the health and safety of the residents of this town. And we've seen from a number of projects that have gone on here that when we reroute around important zoning laws that do protect the township, we are in for some real problems. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about that I'm concerned about is our antiquated infrastructure. I know there was that part of the slide that talked about developable was one of the criteria. If we have an aging infrastructure and if we have pumping stations that are maxed out and sewers that are not efficient, I read somewhere it would take about $50 million to get our sewer system, place it needs to be. If our infrastructure is in that shape, would that be any reason not to develop in that specific area?
What normally happens, as you probably know because of being on the planning board, is when a development application comes in to this board, that clearly is within the right of this board to ask how it will be addressed.
Right.
And there may be requirements that you impose upon the applicant to address a portion, their pro rata share of what that would be.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily be at this stage, that would not be. But in terms of an application that would come in front of you, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's to many of us, it's a very big concern. could we do it by ordinance? Could we, in an ordinance, talk about or require a developer to upgrade a good portion of this infrastructure if that were the case and they wanted to move with the project?
Well, there are ordinances where you can impose the pro rata share of improvements for utilities infrastructure, but that's something that you would have to discuss with your attorney as to how that could be structured. But there are ways, at least in terms of when it comes in front of the board,
Right.
because if they can't address, if they don't have infrastructure that can be used, well, then what are they going to do?
Right.
So to a
Residents have
point,
all experienced, the lack of infrastructure, and unfortunately, they don't know until it's too late and the problem emerges in their homes. So this is a really important issue that I don't think the developers always look at, and I don't think we always do our due diligence. So it's a very big concern of mine. I think there's probably some people who are even more knowledgeable about this on the board, but it's something I think we need to think about. And I think we need to really rethink this and think outside the box a little bit. Maybe accessory dwellings too is another way we could support our aging population that wants to age in place. I think there are a lot of things that we haven't really thought about, and I think we need to go back and just rethink it a little bit more.
well, let me just raise the accessory dwelling. That could complement your mandatory set aside, but it would not satisfy the 25% rezoning. It would not, and that's a big deal these days, this
Right.
accessory dwelling thing. That's
Right.
got, I don't need to get into
Right.
thoughts on that. The concept, it would be like a mandatory set aside. But again, it would not address the need for the 165 unit, 25%
Right.
rezoning,
Right.
just to clarify.
Great. That's about all I have. I just hope we can think outside the box a little bit more and tweak it.
Thank you, Councilperson Sharp. Captain Noberini.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Gruhl, for your presentation, and thank you to the public for coming out and advocating for our township. Before I move on to my thoughts, I just want to ask one more question about the ADUs. You said that wouldn't apply to the number, it would only affect after we reach that number? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Remember how we said that you had to do 25% of the 660 and that
Gotcha.
would be 165, but the remaining part, which is unmet need, well, it's unmet need, but the remaining part of the unmet need would be addressed through your mandatory set aside ordinance, but you wouldn't be rezoning particular site. It would trigger if someone came in with an application and asked for 5 or more units through the zoning board or through whatever it may be, then it would trigger. The accessory units would be the same, would it be in that category? It would be fine, but it wouldn't address the 165.
Gotcha. And you spoke about bonus credits. Same thing, that wouldn't apply unless you already met your.
I'm sorry,
You spoke about bonus credits earlier.
Yes.
And again, that would only apply once you met your obligation, and it would apply towards the unmet need after that.
There's still debate about that.
Okay.
Okay, but I suspect that it wouldn't apply until after the fact, after you've met the 25%.
Okay,
as
I
said.
have one more question related to the bonus credits. When putting together the plan, were you able to max out each category when looking at the plan as a whole, or attempt to max out each category for those bonus credits?
We had to max out, what we tried to max out was the 25, you can max out 25% of bonus credits. Part of that, and something that wasn't in before the Fair Housing Act, was, again, when you are redeveloping a commercial site. And that's why that was one of the considerations that we had, where there were a number of, as you well know, commercial sites that were now abandoned that had the opportunity to be redeveloped. And so we did take, I shouldn't say get yet, We don't know. But we tried to get those credits for that. And we thought that, we can all critique affordable housing in New Jersey and Fair Housing Act and everything else, because there are significant issues with it. I would be the first one to say that. But that was one thing that I thought was really good that they added, that you get bonus credits. It's an incentive to do, the abandoned commercial buildings or sites. I thought that was something that was good.
Absolutely.
So.
I want to thank my fellow board members. You guys did a great job asking questions, make it easy for me. Can you just talk about the rehabilitation obligation and how that 409 number was created?
That's a very statistical number. That comes from the census.
Okay.
And the census, the 2020 census and the American Community Survey, which is the most up-to-date that we can use. There's no other data, okay? And that goes to 2023, indicates deficient units based upon the criteria. So that number comes from the deficient units.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that it's a little different than your prospective need. That doesn't mean you have to go out and find all those units. You have to provide a program and advertise it enough and have enough funding in it to be able, if somebody wants to come in and use it, that they can. If nobody wants to come in and use it, and you can show that you have a very good program, that it's in place, it's funded, you're advertising in appropriate places, and 409 households don't come in for it. Not your issue,
Okay.
not the township's issue. You've done everything you can.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
And then the one more item just on that, I noted, I checked the I think it's Exhibit L, our current, those numbers that are related for that rehabilitation program, they're all up to date in terms of what would be required at this point
Yes.
in order to be eligible.
yes,
Okay.
we've checked with your rehab consultant
Awesome.
and made sure that he was, we gave him actually, and he checked and everything was okay from his perspective.
Terrific. Thank you. And thank you for your answer.
Sure.
Thank you very much. It's up to me now. Ms. Gruel, that was probably one of the best educational experiences I've had
Oh, God.
in affordable housing since I've been sitting on the board. I appreciate everything and the time you put in. It was amazing. If the public doesn't understand the time and the legal nuances that have to be addressed from our perspective, this is fantastic. So imagine the planning board and the community that sat there in 1975 when the New Jersey Supreme Court found that exclusionary housing is unconstitutional. Mount Laurel, first Mount Laurel decision. We've come from the first Mount Laurel decision through multiple rounds of Mount Laurel, Section 8 housing, affordable housing 1, 2, and 3, COA, which were here and gone. Before it was here, it was gone. We never knew how to manage it because the state never knew how to manage it. We worked around, the town has meandered around this. They've done a good job. So the questions that we have, the group here has brought up a lot of good issues. The Pleasant Valley Way corridor, it is getting better. It is a very large collector road. Our school system, fire department, and police, unfortunately, as Ms. Gruel has identified, are not affected by our decisions. In fact, the legislature has carved out that we don't look into it. It's not that we are not appreciative of it. It's not that we don't understand that there will be more children in the school, more reason to have police, fire, and ambulance, but they don't give us a methodology to include that in our discussion. So we are sort of carved out of a lot of things that people here brought up. That doesn't mean we don't look at it. And we also retain the ability, as Ms. Gruhl said, to evaluate each application that comes before us. So even though something may be in the overall affordable housing plan, the fair share plan, it doesn't mean they get a free ride. Yes, we do have 4 lawsuits against the township for builder's remedy. That also doesn't mean that they win. There's always a negotiation to be had. So the builder doesn't want to overbuild, because if they overbuild, it may not go because there's not enough sewerage and not enough water and not enough space. All these requirements still apply. So this is not a free ride by any builder. I will say that the Daughters of Israel is a gem in the township of West Orange. It has always been and should always be. And I am very glad that it is in our bailiwick to look at and hopefully come to a conclusion that is going to maintain it here in perpetuity. Mayfair Farms, another phenomenal piece of property that we hopefully will be able to work with, and that is truly part of a walkable community. As was said, there is a Target, a CVS across the street, 2 Starbucks, not one, and actually going to be 2 CVSs. There's multiple food stores, restaurants, and 40,000 square feet of tree islands in the parking lot. So we did good. We're going to have a walkway that will go down the road to past Paddock Farms from the front of the Target Shopping Center. We have a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to think about. So I have 2 options. I can make a motion to vote this and adopt it, and I can make a motion not to. I'm going to choose a third option because we've heard the people of the township, and I'm a people of the township. I looked at these properties. I read Ms. Gruhl's report. It's phenomenal, but we have to do a little bit more. So I'm going to make them, and I recommend to the board, you vote any way you want. This is totally up to you based on the information that you heard this evening, as always. So don't let me sway you, but based on my listening to the public, understanding that this is a great project and we do have the opportunity to tweak it a smidge, and having one more lawsuit coming, if it does, is not going to make us any better or worse. We've got 4, so 5. If we get a better end product, will be in our best interest. I live here. I've been here for almost 30 years now. I brought my practice here. I recommend this town. I did the put up or shut up. I was in Livingston and I said, you know what, it's time to move. Keep telling everybody how good the town is. I moved. Made sense. We are going to have to look at rezoning, and we have to do some smart rezoning. I'm going to ask our township engineer, Ms. Carballo, to look at the sewer system and look at other infrastructure that needs to be upgraded on any and all of these projects. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be ready tomorrow. I will give this to our next planning board meeting to ask Ms. Gruhl to look at some of the things that have been said today, tweak the project a little bit, come back and make a presentation of just the modifications. The numbers that were asked for, I think it would be a great idea if we could show the public a couple of numbers without comment. They're not arbitrary, they're objective numbers. So the public understands that the planning board is looking and listening, but we're working within constraints. This is a constitutional requirement. If we say no, everybody goes to court and we lose. We lose the ability to negotiate better things for the township. So saying no, if we stamp our feet and say no, we all lose because builders will come in and do whatever they wish. If, on the other hand, we can negotiate with the builders in good faith, the town wins, the builders win, we all go away from the table a little bit better. Yes, we don't want hundreds of thousands of units in town. We're not going to have that. But we have to put them in smart places. Veterans Home, I think, would be a phenomenal idea. And the Veterans Administration may decide they want to add into it. We don't know. We'll have to look into it. So whatever we adopt can be modified the next day. We can add to it. We can modify it. The state doesn't want a bad plan. They want a smart plan. We want a smart plan. We love to live in this town. We want to save every tree possible. We're going to have to look at zoning and rezoning. We may look at taller buildings in areas that are not in the community that is going to impact single-family homes. The nature of building single-family homes is not in the nature of most builders. If you speak to realtors in this area, reselling homes is the #1 thing. Most builders in this area in Essex County are not building condos for sale. It's for rent. So we have to understand what is in the marketplace. And whatever is in the marketplace is going to be best suited for our township. It started on the Main Street project. All those units were supposed to be for sale. In the middle of the Main Street project, everything turned around. The market turned around. The builders came back and said, we can't sell them. Nobody's buying. Rentable is going to be what makes sense. We talked about Stone Hill. Stone Hill has won an award because the planning board worked really, really hard with the town council and the management and the builder to come up with a solution that is equitable for all. So I have walked the site through the entire process. During the pandemic, we made sure that each apartment had equal furniture, equal everything. The washer dryer, the air conditioning unit, the flooring, everything that people walk in, you can't tell unless I point out 3 things that are different, you'd never know. It is a place to be modeled, and they're winning an award and we win an award. The township wins an award for having that project. To that end, I will make a motion, and hopefully somebody seconds it, that we table this till our next planning board meeting and give Ms. Gruhl some time to come back with some tweaked numbers to make a great plan, an amazing plan, and listen to the public and listen to the town council and how we can work together to move this forward. But the public has to realize we are still constrained. We cannot move outside of the walls that the state has set up for us because we can't lose control. I will tell you that will be a mistake that I have seen in other towns. And then you start having things that you don't want. So to that end, I make a motion, we table this to our next planning board meeting, have our township engineer, Ms. Carballo and Ms. Gruhl look at the plan, come up with some answers that we have heard the public ask for. And do I have a second on the motion?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chairman seconds. Okay, Diana on the motion.
Mr. Alper,
Yes.
Ms. Guarino,
Oh, yes.
Mr. Noberini,
What's that?
Yes.
Regular meeting.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Mayor McCartney,
Yes.
Mr. Cardoza,
Yes.
Ms. Keffer,
Yes.
Chairperson Bagoff.
Yes. So ladies and gentlemen, the public has won today. We're all members of the public and we appreciate those on Zoom and you who sat there all evening to help us listen and come to a decision. We're going to carry this.
But Denise,
Yeah,
it's our
yeah.
regular meeting, the 5th of November. It's the Wednesday after election day. And do we have,
Move it to the
this room is not available that day
No, this is election.
because it's election year. So
I
that,
moved it to the 8th. Didn't we move the planning board meeting to the 8th because of the holiday?
Over and over, it's one of the holidays. 6 is no good, 1st is no good, this is no good.
October 8th is a Jewish holiday.
that's why-
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, October 7th?
October 22nd is a Wednesday and October 29th is a Wednesday. We were gonna have one of our regular meetings for West Essex Highlands.
Okay, we're gonna, right?
You have to carry this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the meeting is not over. Please, quiet. Please take it outside or sit down quietly till we're done. We have to put on the record the date that we're carrying this to. That may change and that will be noticed on our website calendar and to the,
We changed this notice without announcing it from here. Then I have to serve, the town has to serve more notices in the newspaper.
okay, let's not do that. Okay,
And you're not available.
okay, November.
We have to notice it anyway. Oh, all right. So if you're changing the plan, we're gonna have to do all new notices, reserve the people in Trenton, reserve all the
After
communities
the-
around us.
If there are changes to the plan, when the board meets next.
Yes.
And you say, okay.
Yes,
Those are the changes.
yes.
Then that would have to be noticed,
We're only talking about any changes.
and that's all I'm
Right,
saying.
okay.
So.
November.
Don't we have to take the November 5th, is a Zoom meeting?
The November 5th meeting has to be on Zoom.
Right. That's
Okay.
fine. So you need
Can you
it.
do Zoom?
Yeah, yeah,
Good,
Okay.
okay.
yeah.
This will be carried to the November 5th meeting at 7:30 PM via Zoom. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes are above the nose. Thank you very much.